Hawks. It was an ugly game for the Red Raiders. However, they remain alive in the tournament. The number 3 seed just a few moments ago defeated Oklahoma State. The 2nd seed has been eliminated. So Texas Tech is still alive. The Red Raiders will play the loser of the game between West Virginia and TCU, which is coming up a little bit later on tonight. But again, the game that we have for you now is a winner's bracket game with Baylor taking on Kansas. Earlier in this bracket, Oklahoma eliminated the conference regular season champion Texas Longhorns, a 3-1 decision. That was the final score, and that's right. The top 2 seeds in the Big 12 Conference Tournament in 2018 have been eliminated. Oklahoma stays alive. Hi, everybody. Alongside 13-year Major League veteran Mickey Tettleton, I'm Bill Dolman. It's great to have you with us, and you do not want to go away. If you like wild baseball and something that's unpredictable, this is the tournament for you. Although a lot of people, Mick, would say, you know what? We're not surprised. We would not be surprised if Kansas won a couple of games. In fact, could win it from the 8th spot. Baylor's perhaps the hottest team in the country. TCU knows how to win. West Virginia has endeared themselves to Oklahoma City. This has been a great tournament so far, and it is no surprise to see Baylor and Kansas in the winner's bracket.
Well, it has not been wild on our side of it. What it's been about on our side has been excellent pitching. And we get an opportunity to see another couple of really good arms this afternoon. But for us, it's been all about starting pitching. When you look at the guys that run out there for Baylor yesterday, Kobe Bradford, Big 12 pitcher of the year, outstanding job. Jackson Goddard for Kansas, outstanding job. Now we get to see a couple more guys today that can actually fill up strike zone with very good stuff.
Well, the matchup in this game features Ryan Zefferjohn of Baylor, or beg your pardon, of Kansas, and Hayden Kettler from Baylor. Each of these guys in the regular season series picked up wins over today's opponents, so they're familiar with each other. And for Rich Price and the Kansas Jayhawks, he flat out said, look, the first 2 games of this tournament are incredibly important for us because we know we have arguably the 2 best starting pitchers in the conference, which is something to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And from what I've seen so far with the arms that they have, and was really impressed with Goddard yesterday. This kid can flat pitch.
You got a chance to take a look at the lineup that Rich Price has put together. Now in his 16th season as the head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks, he is the dean of coaches in the Big 12. And when you have the performance that they got from Goddard yesterday, that was the tone setter for them. They knew, especially after what they had seen Bradford do in the opener, they knew that, look, we're going to run Jackson Goddard out in our game. If we can get the kind of performance from him that we expect and we know we can get, then that's going to help us develop our confidence for the rest of the tournament, because we turn it over to Zefferjohn in game number 2. And that's exactly played out exactly like he's wanted it to.
Absolutely. And the big bonus for this game, the winner of this game gets the day off tomorrow. So they get an opportunity to rest those staffs, in particular their bullpens, just one more day and have that little bit of edge that, you know, those guys that are having to come out of the loser's bracket right now are not able to do.
And for the Baylor Bears, as I mentioned, this may be the hottest team, not just in the Big 12, but in the entire country. They've won 19 of their last 22 ball games. Hayden Kettler is also very solid in the starting role. And as I mentioned, he has a victory over Kansas already this season. What's his mentality taking the hill after what he saw his teammate do yesterday?
Well, it's to go out and try to dominate. So, you know, set the tone early, throw a lot of strikes. That's one thing that we've been seeing is the pitchers from these staffs that we've had the opportunity to watch. Oklahoma staff, Texas staff, they've all come out and thrown strikes. They make these guys swing the bat. They got a good defense behind them. Let them work.
So here is Hayden Kettler on the mound for the Baylor Bears. Baylor enters this game with a record of 33-19. This was a team that had high hopes for this season. They went to a regional a year ago and thought, well, we've got a lot of good players coming back. And instead, they kind of stumbled out of the gate. They had some injuries, but they have turned things around dramatically with the way they have performed the second half of the season. Here's a look at the defense behind Kettler. You've got T.J. Ragusi in left field. Herring will be the center fielder, and Davion Downey is in right. Wenzel, Lofton, Bissonette, and Thomas around the infield. Shea Langoliers is one of the best defensive catchers. Very few teams try to run on him anymore because he can throw people out with a very high efficiency, and Kettler is on the mound as mentioned. There's a look at Langoliers. 12 stolen bases is all opponents have against Baylor this season, and that is a remarkable number when you consider all the intangibles of the college game, and there's usually a lot of speed, and a lot of teams you don't know all that well, so teams are going to take chances against you. But once they got Langoliers figured out, nobody takes any chances against him anymore.
Well, it all starts with the guys on the mound. He does have really good feet, got a good strong arm, but it all goes back to those guys on the mound. You don't get an opportunity to throw somebody out unless your pitcher holds him on, varies his move, and he's got a nice quick delivery to home plate.
As the lower seed, the number 8 seed in this tournament, Kansas is the visitor on the scoreboard. The Jayhawks will hit first, and here's our first pitch from Hayden Kettler. And that's out of the zone, 1 ball and no strikes. Rudy Carey leads it off for KU. He did not play yesterday. He's in center field today. James Cosentino will be the second baseman. He'll hit second, and Jack Grohan's the scheduled third hitter. The next pitch in there for a strike, and it's 1-1.
And we talked about Zephyr John, and Kettler's had an outstanding year. He's got a 3.84 ERA, 7-4 on the year, 72 innings pitched, 48 strikeouts. Opponents are only hitting 260 against him. Another one of those guys, when you look at the strikeouts to base on ball ratio and the innings pitched, he's going to throw a lot of strikes.
Carey brings a 4-game hitting streak into the game today. Again, he did not play in yesterday's victory over Texas, and he bounces this out to first. Andy Thomas is there, touches the bag, and there's quickly 1 away. One of the things that Baylor did well yesterday is play good defense behind Cody Bradford. Although he had 11 strikeouts, a career high, it was just a solid performance all around for the Bears in their victory.
You know, both these teams, they play excellent defense. They do not boot the ball around a lot, unlike the 9 combined errors last night.
You'd almost expect that many errors in the game that went into the early hours, in fact after midnight, that TCU Texas Tech game.
I would expect that many errors down here at the recreational park. 14 walks by Texas Tech, but I tell you what, Texas Tech, they look really good a while ago.
Well, this looks good too. James Cosentino has touched first. He sprints into second, and the Kansas Jayhawks have themselves a 1-out double. That ball well hit by Cosentino, who's hitting .267 out of the year, making his 55th start.
Well, it was very well hit, and one of the things that Kansas did yesterday was they got on the board often, or early and often, and gave that outstanding starting pitching a chance to go out and dominate the game.
So Cosentino's aboard for Jack's Grosshands. Grosshands on the season at .322. 66 hits on the year with 4 home runs and 43 runs driven in. Those 66 hits second to his teammate Devin Foyle, who will be at the plate next. And the first pitch. Got a called ball, and it's 1-0. Michael Banks is the home plate umpire. Doug Williams is at first base. Mike Morris is the second base umpire, and John Brammer is at third.
We talked about it a little bit yesterday that it's not a surprise that either one of these teams are in the winner's bracket side of this tournament.
Bouncer up the middle, charging hard is the shortstop Nick Lofton. A toss over to Thomas, and there's 2 away. Cosentino advances to third. And here's Devin Foyle coming to the plate. As I mentioned, 67 hits on the year. One of them last night, he launched his 10th home run of the season. And this proved to be game-winning insurance for the Jayhawks, because Texas made it dramatic late, but Kansas held on to win that game by a score of 3-2, and they needed that home run. And he hits this one high in the air, right field. Kind of a tough play because of the sun, but Davion Downey is able to battle the sun and win. He hauls it in, And that retires the side in the top half of the first. Kansas leads 1. Go to the bottom half of inning number 1. The Jayhawks held off the board despite getting a runner to third base. So it'll be Nick Lofton to lead things off for the Bears. He'll be followed by Richie Cunningham and Davis Wenzel, who's the scheduled 3. After Wenzel, Andy Thomas hits in the cleanup spot, plays first base. Shea Langoliers, the catcher, hits 5th. Davion Downey is in right field. He'll hit 6th. Cole Herring, the center fielder, bats 7th. In the 8th spot is Josh Bissonette, the second baseman, and TJ Ragusi is in left field, and he will bat 9th. This for the Bears, who are 33-19 on the year, coming off their 4-0 shutout victory over Oklahoma yesterday. On the mound for the Kansas Jayhawks, the second half of that power duo for the Kansas staff. We saw Jackson Goddard yesterday, and now it's Ryan Zefferjohn.
Yeah, and the Bears will have their hands full with this guy. 8-4 on the year, ERA just north of 4, 78 innings pitched, 98 strikeouts. That is an impressive number, and the opponents are only hitting .216 against him. Another one of those big, strong kids that throws hard, good command, only 35 walks.
Second team All Big 12 Conference in 2018. First pitch swung on and fouled back by Nick Lofton. Now, Jackson Goddard was not an all-conference selection, and he's the ace of the staff. And you say, well, wait a minute, why is that? Well, Goddard had an oblique injury that kept him out for about 4 weeks. And it was another couple of weeks after that he came back very deliberately and cautiously, and he really has not returned to 100% until right about now. And Rich Price says Jackson Goddard makes us a completely different team than the one we were 7 weeks ago, because now you've got Goddard going, well, during the regular season on a Friday, Zefferjohn on Saturday, and that's as good as anybody can do in the conference. The 2-1.
Well, the first 4 pitches of the game, the slowest one was 93 miles an hour. He has fallen behind 3-1. Even though you got that good fastball and that good arm, you still got to be able to throw strikes where he walks the leadoff hitter.
So Lofton is aboard, and he'll be of some concern for Zefferjohn and this Jayhawks defense that has Foyle in left, Carey in center, and Brett Sitta is in right field. Messinger, Sims, Costantino, and Taylor left to right around the infield. Jack Scrohans does the catching for Ryan Zefferjohn. So with Lofton aboard, here's Richie Cunningham. He's at .333. And he grounds this right side through there to right field. And the Bears content to play it 1 base at a time. That ball got to right field pretty quickly, and Lofton put on the brakes and stops at second. So a walk and a base hit to begin this game for Baylor.
Yeah, they've come out swinging the bats, and we've talked about it before. There has been no hotter team in the Big 12 and possibly the country than the Baylor Bears. They've just come out right now with the walk, swinging the bat, base hit, finds the hole over there on the right side. That's one great thing about being a left-handed hitter. Have those guys that could run in front of you. You're going to get a lot of fastballs, be able to use that hole over there.
I thought you were going to say it's a shorter distance to first.
Well, that too.
Davis Wenzel, the third baseman's in there with runners at first and second. This is a Baylor team that's hitting .289. And Wenzel, with runners in scoring position, is hitting .400 on the season. His average at .326, 63 hits this season, and 42 runs driven in. That latter number leads the Bears. Beautiful pitch from Zefferjohn on the outside corner. He gets the called strike, and it's 0-2.
You look at Baylor, and they got off. They did not get off to the start that they wanted to, but you look at their stats where they're at. They're second in the Big 12 in team hitting at .291. They lead the Big 12 in pitching. You can understand why this team has come in here with a lot of confidence. Feel like they can go a long way in this tournament.
This is the 5 seed
and beyond.
Yeah, this is the 5 seed. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Wenzel. Third hitter of the inning for the Bears. Nobody down. That just missed, and the count moves to 2-2.
Well, the 5 seed 2 weeks ago took care of Oklahoma State. Took 2 or 3 from them. Both Oklahoma State and Texas, the 1 and 2 seeds, are already gone. They are done for the weekend.
The 2-2 offering in the air, left field, left center field. Going back is Foyle, carries over there, and Carey makes the catch shy of the warning track. Both runners tag. The throw comes towards second. It's well behind, and both Lofton and Cunningham run further into scoring position. So Wenzel, it's a fly ball out, but he advances both runners.
Oh, it's a great piece of base running right there. You're taught as a base runner, whenever you start to see the outfield's numbers on their back, go back and tag. And this ball carried a long ways. The wind's still not blowing real hard. It's a little hotter. The ball's going to fly a little farther, but both runners did a great job of going back and tagging up and advancing.
Steve Rodriguez is the head coach of the Baylor Bears, now in his 3rd season. Last year, the conference coach of the year. David Pierce took that honor this year in leading Texas to the conference title. At the plate, Andy Thomas, and he lifts a base hit into left center field. That's going to score Lofton. Cunningham comes in, and Baylor has jumped out to a 2-0 lead.
Well, Baylor's come out here and they've jumped all over Zephyr early. This was a ball that was not hit extremely hard, but well placed. You know, and they're swinging early. They're attacking him early, and that comes back. You know, you get your scouting reports. You know the guys are going to throw strikes, so go in there, be ready to swing the bat. And especially when you got runners in scoring position. Early and often, as we say, early and often. Be ready to move the bat head.
Just 1 away in the inning. 2 runs have already scored, and here's Shea Langeliers. High and tight, ball 1.
And what this does, this gives a Baylor dugout who already is tremendously confident right now, even more confidence. You've come out here and you've jumped on one of the best pitchers in the Big 12. 2 runs early. Which
is what they did yesterday in their victory for Oklahoma. That pitch outside. Now 2 balls and no strikes. They did it differently. Now Baylor was the visiting team against the higher seeded Sooners, but in the 1st inning, first pitch of the tournament, Lofton put it in play. It was booted by the Sooners shortstop Brendan Zaragoza, and we've got an early conversation on the mound with Ryan Graves going out to talk to Zephyr. So you've got the meeting on the mound, but getting back to yesterday, Baylor was aggressive. Lofton, first pitch swinging. It resulted in an error. They took advantage of a couple of errors in the top half of the 1st and put 2 runs on the board against Oklahoma and went on to win that 4-0.
When you've got guys with good quality arms and you know they're going to throw strikes, you don't want to be messing around getting deep in the count with them. You know, because then you're playing right into their hand. If you're a team that's going to be aggressive on first ball fastballs, then let's go to work on it. You got to have the discipline, though, as a hitter to be able to lay off the other stuff if you're looking dead red for the first pitch. Fastballs, dead reds, fastballs.
Gotcha. So the meeting is over. 2 balls, no strikes. Just 1 away in the bottom half of the 1st inning. Lofton and Cunningham have both scored. Thomas is at first after the 2 RBI single. That pitch low and away. Doesn't get far enough away from Gross hands for Thomas to leave, so he stays put.
Yeah, that's a tough one to read right there because that ball is behind Grosjean's. Didn't necessarily get far enough away for the base runner Thomas to be able to advance.
Now 3-0. High and tight. And that is the 2nd walk of the inning. And 2 are back on base for Baylor. He walked the leadoff hitter Nick Lofton. That came back to hurt him. Gave up the single to Cunningham. And now Thomas is in scoring position at second base. And Langeliers behind him at first for Davion Downey.
See how Steve Rodriguez wants to play it right here, whether he squares around early in the game, try to advance these runners, get them into scoring position. Going to let him swing the bat.
And Zephyr is having a hard time finding the strike zone. This is a guy who has 98 strikeouts and just 35 walks on the season coming into this game, and he's already walked 2. The 1-0. Still having a hard time finding the zone.
Well, no activity in the Kansas bullpen, so they're going to have faith in one of their big horses right here that he can get them out of this early game jam.
Two balls, no strikes. And Groshands can't frame that, and the count goes 3-0. That's 7 consecutive pitches that are outside the zone.
Yeah, and just noticing that, I mean, he's missing to the inside part of the plate to right-handers. So as a catcher, you got to kind of realize that. Grosjean sets up away again right here. Move over to the inside part of left-handers. Try to get that release point a little bit more out in front of him.
And that's a 4-pitch walk to Davian Downey. So he reaches. Langeliers moves to second. And Thomas is now at third, and the bases are loaded for Cole Herring. Well, what did he do his last time up? Nearly finished up the Baylor victory over Oklahoma by launching a home run over the wall in left field. For Herring, that was home run number 7 on the season and his 31st RBI. And that was really a demoralizing blow to Oklahoma. If they had any thoughts that they may be able to make a final inning rally. Well, Herring's home run in the 9th pretty much put that to an end, and the game kind of ended quietly after that.
Once again, though, that pitch right there missed into the right-hander. Maybe try to work the other side of the plate, see if we can't get his release point a little bit more out in front of him, get him back in the strike zone.
The base is full for Herring. And finally a strike after 9 consecutive pitches were outside the zone. He's already thrown 22 in the game. Infield drawn in just a bit at the corners. The middle guys at double play depth. The pitch to the 269 hitter, swinging and missing, and now it's 1-2. 1 away in the bottom half of the first. He's starting to play catch in the Kansas pen. Boy, did Zephyr need that.
Yeah, that's just good old-fashioned hardball right there. The last 2 pitches, 93, 94 miles an hour fastballs. Basically reared back and just blew the ball right by Herring right there. You see it right here, just a good strong fastball out of his hand. And when guys look like they're throwing hard on TV, they're bringing it.
In the bullpen playing catch right now for Kansas is Chase Kaplan. Hard to believe we're talking about that, given what Zephyr John's been able to do during the course of the year. Second team all conference, now facing his 8th hitter of this first inning, and the pitch to Josh Bissonette is high. 1 ball, no strikes, 2 away, and the bases remain loaded for Baylor.
Well, if he can some way find a way to get out of this jam right here, it's going to be a huge win for Kansas, only giving up 2 runs.
The 1-0. Now 1-1. If he can come back with back-to-back strikeouts and get out of this inning trailing just 2-0.
Oh, it's a huge win. I know you're losing the game, but sometimes there's games within the game.
Games within the inning.
Absolutely.
Here's the 1-1. And now Zephyr John's ahead. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and 2 away. Well, there's no question about it. No matter how this inning comes to an end, Baylor has come out offensively and made a statement. They have been confidently swinging the bats, and they have caused one of the best pitchers in the conference to do a lot of work in the early part of the game. That skips to the plate. Nice job by Grosshans.
Yeah, really good job right there by the catcher. Getting that body in front of the ball. Well, that just tells your pitchers, like, go ahead and snap one off here, dude. I got you.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 away. Thomas is at third. Langeliers is at second. And Downey is the runner at first. The pitch. Called strike 3. They punched him out.
That's huge right there.
What a comeback for Zephyrjan. Gives up 2 walks, 2 hits, in fact 3 walks in the inning. And this is the RBI, 2 RBI single by Andy Thomas that has Baylor on the board. But quite a comeback to wrap up. Beautiful Oklahoma City has been upset city so far in the Big 12 Conference Baseball Tournament for 2018. Look at the scores so far. It's the first time in history in Power 5 Conference baseball tournament action that the lower seed has won every game. And that includes the last game that we had on the network, and that was Texas Tech's 3-seed victory over second-seeded Oklahoma State. So those are 2 teams that are really, really good and in the conference championship contention. So it's not like it was a major upset, but the first 6 games of the tournament, the lower seed has picked up a victory.
1 and 2 are gone.
And 1 and 2 are gone. Texas and Oklahoma State.
2 and out. Once again, I think it just shows the parity in this conference. You know, the last few years there's been 1, maybe 2 really dominant teams, TCU, Texas Tech. I think this year there's just a bunch of really good teams. And anybody, and you look at the standings and some of the ways that some of these series worked out this year, anybody can beat anybody in this conference.
Leading it off for Kansas in the second is Brent Sitta, and he drives this to left center field. It's off the glove of Cole Herring, and Sitta took a big turn and kept right on going, and he leads off the second inning for the Jayhawks with a base hit, and they've got a runner in scoring position.
Yeah, Sitta does a really nice job. Kettler left a breaking ball up out over the plate, and he stays with it really nice and drives it into left center. Just not quite able to catch up to it right there. Ball hits off the glove. Good base running by Sitter right there to take second base. I think that's going to be a double all the way.
Yeah, it is a double. You've got that center fielder running toward the wall, so if he fields that ball cleanly, his momentum is still going away from the infield. And at the plate is Brett Vosick, the designated hitter, and he's swinging at the first pitch. It's fouled back 0-1. So a good start to the second after a good finish to the first for Kansas. Jayhawks were in trouble. They gave up a couple of runs. Zephyrjan got that strikeout. Got Bissonnette looking to finish the inning. They carried that momentum right with them to the plate.
Well,
Lofton stuck in behind.
We saw in the first game and the situational hitting stuff. Texas had a hard time getting sacrifice bunts down. Came back to haunt them. They were not able to get runners into scoring position. We've got a runner in scoring position right here. So Vosick's job is to get a ball to the right side, get him to third base. That makes it a little bit easier to score that run. You can get the ground ball, sacrifice fly. Tough to do it on that pitch right there, though.
And that's exactly where Langeliers had that pitch framed. And Kettler delivered the strike and got the call. And it's 0-2 to Vosick. After him, Owen Taylor. Skylar Messinger is the fourth scheduled hitter of the inning. The 0-2. A ball and 2 strikes now. Brett's hitting at .318 this season. No home runs. He's driven in 26. Kettler just 15 pitches in the game so far. Lofton again sneaks in behind Sitta, and the pitch is to the plate, and it's way outside. 2-2.
Anything to the right side right now, it's going to be really difficult. Sun's starting to set just a little bit, so the right fielder, first baseman, second baseman are going to be looking directly up into it.
We saw on the ball hit by Devin Foyle to wrap up the first inning. Downey was really battling to set it. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And this is grounded out to Lofton, and the shortstop thought about third. He goes to first. And the throw is in time to get Vosick, but on the play, Sitta gets to third base.
Yeah, that's a close one right there. As a base runner, you know, you get to second base. The first base person you want to turn around and look at is where's your shortstop, center fielder playing. Usually if he's right behind you, ball hit to your left, you're going. Ball hit to your right, you're staying. That was a good piece of recognizing where that ball was hit and taking off. The ball was hit hard enough, too. He could have thrown him out at third base, but that situation, go ahead and get the out right there.
You also have to be cognizant of where that third baseman is, and this ball is ricocheted off the bat or off the glove of the pitcher. Owen Taylor drives in the run. He's thrown out by Kettler, but Sitta on the play is able to come in from third.
Yeah, this ball was hit hard right here. Kettler just not able to quite glove it. But once again, Vosick doesn't get him over. Sitta doesn't make the nice base running decision. Kansas does not score a run right there.
That's manufacturing a run.
That's situational baseball.
Swinging at the pitch, Skylar Messinger, and it is bobbled by the shortstop Lofton. He throws wildly, and it's a heads-up play by Langoliers to get over there to keep that ball in foul territory and not let it go into the Kansas dugout, because if it does, he goes and takes another base.
This is going to be a tough play regardless. This ball was hit hard right back up the middle. Laughlin does a really good job of getting to it, just can't quite field it cleanly. You know, one thing we've been really fortunate to watch in our side of the bracket is very clean baseball. There has not been a lot of errors. The games have been played extremely clean. That's a tough play.
Goes down as a base hit for Messinger, and here's Ben Sams. First pitch, a strike with a runner at first. Now, Oklahoma might disagree with you in terms of how cleanly the game was played, because they had, what, 3-4 errors in that opening game yesterday, and 2 in the first inning that led to 2 runs.
One inning was not played real cleanly.
But your point is well taken. We've seen some really good pitching. We've seen solid defense, timely hitting, some unexpected hitting stars in the games that we have done. Chad McKee and George Frazier are handling the call on the other side of the bracket. They would dispute the kinds of play that they've had at times. They had the game with 9 errors and 14 walks, and games that went late into the evening. So they've done a little bit more work, and we've had a lot more fun. So the inning comes to an end. Kansas gets on the board. Solid piece of manufacturing. Brent Sitta got that double, and it's 2-1 Baylor after an inning and a half. Baylor has a 2-1 lead on Kansas after an inning and a half at the 2018 Phillips 66 Big 12 Conference Baseball Championship. Early on in this winner's bracket game, 1 run on 3 hits for KU, 2 runs on 2 hits for Baylor. The Bears at one point in the middle of April had lost 10 of 15 games, and they had struggled at the start of Big 12 play. Since then, they have been as hot as anybody in the country, winning 19 of their last 22 contests. They had a 13-game winning streak. They ended the regular season 16-2, and they have dominated opponents, outscoring teams 169-51, an average of 9-2 in the success that they've had.
That's a good feeling when you know you get off the bus and you got a legitimate shot to win a game.
And it wasn't all on Cody Bradford, the starting pitcher. It wasn't as okay. We know we've got a great guy going on Friday, and then we got to try and piece it together Saturday and Sunday, and whatever we do and whoever we play midweek. I mean, it's been night in and night out. No matter what day, they have played extremely well the last 6 weeks of the season. 1 ball and 1 strike to Ragusi, hitting in the 9 spot. 8 batters to the plate in the home half of the first. After TJ, Nick Lofton and Richie Cunningham. Out to second. Cosentino, the first, one away.
Well, for Kansas, too, that was 2 huge wins in a row. The bottom half of the first inning, getting out of there with only 2 runs, and then being able to come right back out and put a run on the board in the top half of the second inning.
Lofton led off the game with a walk and scored. He walked, Cunningham singled. There's a deep fly ball by Davis Wenzel, and Lofton is hit. He's going to get another free pass. This one hurts a little more than the last one, but he looks okay. It was Wenzel who hit that deep fly ball to center field in the first inning. It advanced both runners into scoring position, and Baylor took advantage.
That one had a little bit of a bend in it right there, so that wasn't that 93, 94 mile an hour fastball in the hip.
It leaves a mark. Here's Cunningham, 1 for 1. 337 on the season now with 9 home runs, and they chase Lofton back.
Yeah, those 93s in the hip, they make you make noises when you get hit.
This is not a Baylor team that steals a lot of bases, not with this lineup anyway. Way outside. This particular lineup of 9 has 28 stolen bases combined on the season.
Well, for Zephyr John, he struggled out of the stretch this last half inning, the bottom half of the first inning. See if he can make an adjustment right here. We can get the ball in the strike zone. And really struggled finding the strike zone the top half of the bottom half of the first inning.
Go back to that last half inning that he was out there, and we talked about kind of keeping an eye on if something is happening in the KU bullpen. Here's the 1-0 offering, and that's low now, 2-0. That's the benefit for Kansas and Rich Price and company to being in the winner's bracket. If this is an elimination game, you are watching your pitcher with the microscope, and you may have guys active early, and you may not allow somebody to go as long as Zephyr John did. If it looks like he is struggling, and he had, what, 9 pitches, consecutive pitches that missed the zone, you may not have that kind of patience if you're in a loser's bracket game.
Well, you can't. And, you know, right now it may be one of those situations that, you know, this guy, he's going to have to, you know, stay out there and maybe possibly suck up some innings.
This is Cunningham hitting it deep to right field. He's got a double, and they put the brakes on, and the ball gets away on the cutoff, and that's going to allow the run to come in. So Lofton scores all the way from first base after he had the stop sign at third. An RBI double for Cunningham, and it's 3-1 Baylor.
You know, first of all, the ball was hit extremely hard. Cunningham just smokes this ball to right field. Once again, we're looking right up into the sun in the right field. You see, doesn't quite get as good a jump on it. Took a step in at first. But here's the big mistake for Kansas right here. One, we don't catch the baseball right here. We miss 2 cutoff guys, allowing the runner to score.
And that does go down as an error that allowed Lofton to take that extra base, and Wenzel stands over the plate, takes one off the left shoulder, and that's the second batter hit in the inning. So Lofton has scored, Cunningham's at second, and now Wenzel is behind him at first.
Stepping to the plate now, first baseman Andy Thomas.
Yeah, what I meant a while ago by being out there and having to suck up some innings, Kansas on the winner's bracket side, they know they're playing more games. So you don't want to get into your bullpen right now and, you know, really overwork those guys. Plus, dude, this kid's one of the best pitchers in the Big 12. He's struggling right now, yes.
Low and in. Ball 1 to Andy Thomas, who had the RBI, 2 RBI single back in the first inning. He went the other way to left center field with his base hit.
You can tell, though, Zephyr John's starting to get a little bit frustrated. The body language isn't quite as positive. One thing you never want to try to do is let your opponent show that you're frustrated. So here we see a little frustrated right there, reacting to to pitches a little bit differently, not going his way.
And he's nearing 40 pitches, and he's not out of the second. And here comes Ryan Graves again for a meeting, and it may not matter whether this is a winner's bracket or loser's bracket game. The patience with his performance may be nearing an end, and this may be a bullpen kind of game for Kansas very, very soon. You know, and you talk about the demeanor. Going back to yesterday in the opening game when Oklahoma, the 4 seed, met Baylor, the 5 seed, and we had an all-star pitching matchup with Jake Irvin of Oklahoma, the veteran who's been around a long time, and Cody Bradford, the conference pitcher of the year. He was cruising. Irvin had some problems. They had a couple of errors, but never once in the 5 innings of work that he did, and he threw, what, 59 pitches in the first 2 innings alone. But never once did we see his demeanor change. We didn't see him get frustrated with himself, frustrated with teammates. He pitched well. He didn't get a win, and it was and again, Oklahoma got dominated by Bradford, but you really couldn't tell one way or the other how Jake Irvin was pitching because he handled himself so well.
And one of the things that I like to watch, I like to watch guys in the dugout and how they react. You know, hitters after they make outs, pitchers after they come out of the game. After Jake Irvin was taken out of the game yesterday, he was the first guy to greet every relief pitcher that came off the field in the dugout. I mean, to me, that's a high character guy. That's one of those guys you want on your team.
2 balls and a strike now to Thomas. And that misses low and in.
And these guys sitting up here with these stopwatches and the radar guns, and they're watching that stuff too.
Cunningham's at second. Wenzel behind him is at first. 1 run in the inning for Baylor, and there's only 1 away. And Thomas goes the other way, lining out to left field, and the runners head back to their bags. 2 down.
Another ball hit hard. Thomas hits this ball right on the button. Just hits it right at the left fielder. Really nothing you can do about that as a hitter. Your first goal when you step in there is hit the ball hard somewhere. The ultimate goal is for it to hit the outfield grass, but as long as you hit it hard, it's all you can do.
Next up, Shea Langoliers. He walked on 4 pitches back in the first inning. Second plate appearance already. Now 2 down in the bottom half of inning number 2. Baylor seeded 5th, Kansas the number 8 seed.
You know, that statement's so easy for me to say, but I hated hearing it as a hitter. Hey, hit it good, man. Yeah, that's great. I got nothing to show for it.
Lined into center field. That'll fall for a base hit. Cunningham is being waved home. Brakes are put on by Davis Wenzel. He stops at third. It's an RBI single with 2 away for Shea Langoliers.
Another ball that wasn't hit exceptionally hard, but well placed. Good fastball, just gets in on Langoliers just a little bit right there, but does a nice job staying inside the ball, drives it into right center field. Yeah, this Baylor team, they can swing the bat. They got some guys top to bottom, but you got 9 tough outs.
Here's Davian Downey, who walked on 4 pitches. That was during that stretch in the first inning that Zephyr John was really struggling. 9 consecutive missed the zone. He starts Downey out with a strike. 0-1. Runners at the corners, and it's a 4-1 Baylor lead. Downey thought about it, and he's now in a hole. 0-2. Low and away, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Downey has been very good in situations like this season, hitting .305 with 2 outs. He was a freshman hitting .273 on the year.
This has been a great response by the Bears.
Grounded out to second. That should end the inning. And it does, but it's another 2-run inning for the Baylor Bears. 2 runs on 2 hits. The Bears lead 2. They've stranded 5 through the first couple of innings. But this is a team that has come out to prove that, yeah, it may well be the best in the Big 12. They lead Kansas by a score of 4-1. I still think those are some of the best seats in all of college baseball. Park your rig in the parking garage just over that left field wall at Chickasaw Bricktown Ballpark. You can tailgate and watch some of the best college baseball in the country. Love coming here every year. Baylor's loving life right now. The Bears lead Kansas by a score of 4-1 through 2 innings of play. Series history, well, Kansas won the 2 games during the regular season, and that series had some wild games. 6-5, 17-6, 8-5. The Bears lead the all-time series and have a pretty sizable advantage there. And the Bears are unbeaten against the Jayhawks at neutral sites, and that includes a 4-0 mark in the Big 12 Conference Tournament. First pitch to Mateo Zuniga, who is into the lineup for Kansas. Ball grounded foul off to the right side. 1 ball and 1 strike. Now that is Zuniga, who started yesterday. Rudy Carey started this game, grounded out to the pitcher to lead off the game. Again, he didn't play in center yesterday, so he got the call. Well, they hung up on him, and Zuniga is now in there. He takes a strike, and it's 1-2.
You know, looking out there in that parking garage, the one guy's got the right idea. He's got his truck backed up, and he's got his chair in the truck, so he's not having to stand.
Zuniga lifts this to right field, and Downey was pretty casual getting over there and had to kind of leap up to make the grab. He wasn't battling the sun because the clouds have started to roll in just a little bit.
There he is right there. Got a nice yawn going. Attaboy. Nice.
Downey just
it's a nice routine running grab.
jog it over there. 1 away. It's the top of the order for the Jayhawks in the 3rd. James Cosentino's at the plate. He doubled to left center field and was left at 3rd base back in the 1st. 4-1 Baylor is the score. And a ball and a strike with 1 away.
Let's see if Kansas can answer. You know, they answered Baylor in the top half of the 2nd inning, and Baylor comes right back at him with 2 more runs. Can be deflating as an offense when you get right back in the game. You go out and you give up 2 more runs.
Kettler bounced that. 2 balls and a strike. We were talking earlier about Baylor's season and how the Bears had that stretch, losing 10 of 15 in the month of April. Kansas had a disastrous month of April. Just 2 wins, 13 losses, and that included an 11-game losing streak. So they had no momentum going into the month of May. But they got Jackson Goddard back healthy. Zephyr John continued to pitch well. They went 7-4 in the month of May. That's fouled off the ankle of Cosentino. Down he goes, and down he stays.
That is not a good feeling right there, because there is nothing to protect you. Get the fastball down and in and just smokes it right off the inside of his foot. You know where the next pitch is going if I'm catching?
Inside.
In.
That's pretty ruthless.
We're trying to get him out. We're trying to win a game. We're not trying to, you know, we'll be friends afterwards. I'm going right back inside. Maybe the next 2 pitches.
Calling for it inside and low.
They're going to go away.
Yeah, they went away. They're a lot nicer than you.
Crafty.
The count's full. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and 1 away. And down goes James Costantino. He's 1 for 2, and there's 2 down in the top half of inning number 3.
Well, I fouled enough of them off my shin and kneecaps and ankles. Good sinking fastball right there that Costantino just not able to catch up with.
Does that body armor help at all?
They got body armor for everything
right
now. I have no idea. I mean, these guys go in there and they look like gladiators.
Breaking pitch inside, didn't break very much to Jack Scrozhands, who grounded out to the shortstop in the first. 1 ball and no strikes. Well, watching Barry Bonds back in the day, I mean, him coming to the plate looked like a transformer. In the air center field, kind of deep, going back to make that catch is Herring, and that retires the side. 3 up and 3 down. So a quiet third for the Kansas offense. They're unable to dent that Bear lead that right now stands 3. 4-1 is the score. We believe that the captain, number 66, is modeled after Chad McKee, but it's George Frazier actually in there. That's what those guys do when they're not on the air.
Yeah, I thought he was over here in the room that we were just in, taking it easy.
That looks like Chad. Now he's got a mask on, so it's kind of tough.
Chad is built a lot better than that dude. Much better shape.
Same head of hair, though.
No, that's George's hair. He doesn't have the Zorro there glasses or whatever.
4-1 is our score. Baylor has the lead on Kansas after 2.5 innings. We go to the bottom of the third. Cole Herring, Josh Bissonette, and TJ Ragusi. This is 7, 8, 9 in the Bear lineup. Baylor's trying to win its 34th game of the year. 19 losses. I was talking earlier about David Pierce being the coach of the year for 2018, and justifiably so, but the coach of the month of April and May has to be Steve Rodriguez.
Well, for both of these coaches, with the runs that they had as far as the losing streaks to keep their kids engaged and keep believing in what they were doing, now they're both here. They both are in the winner's bracket side of the tournament. They're both to be commended. Richie Price in the other dugout for Kansas.
Herring struck out swinging in the first. Strong finish to that frame for Ryan Zefferjan, the pitcher for the Kansas Jayhawks. He struggled through the first. We got the last 2 guys to sit down. Herring swinging, and a called third strike to Josh Bissonette. Three balls and a strike. High and in, ball 4. That's the 4th walk given up by Zefferjan in this game. And again, going back to the season numbers, he now has 100 strikeouts on the year, with Herring and Bissonette being set down in the first. But he'd only walked 35 batters all season long in 78 innings worth of work, and 4 in the first 3 innings of this game.
Yeah, there's no question the plate's moving around on him today, but he's consistently missing in the same spot, and that is into right-handed hitters.
Showing bunt is Bissonette. That has the corners charging. Again, Bissonette struck out looking to wrap up the first inning, and he left the bases loaded. The Bears have stranded 5 through 2.
I think this is just showing respect to Kansas, squaring around right here, trying to get that runner into scoring position. Going to let him swing the bat right here.
And he swings on it and hits it high. That is deep. That's headed for the pin, and it is gone. A 2-run home run off the bat of Josh Bissonette. And for the 3rd consecutive inning, the Bears have put a deuce on the board. They lead it 6-1.
Why Steve Rodriguez is coaching the way that he has. Had him square around early, showing it, and lets him swing the bat. He hits the next ball out of the ballpark.
For Bissonette, this is his 7th home run of the year, and RBIs number 35 and 36, and there really wasn't much doubt about that. That's one of the deepest parts of the park.
Yeah, this ball was hammered and hit into the bullpen out there, the Baylor bullpen.
Nobody's there to get the souvenir, and this is the third meeting on the mound. Here comes Ryan Graves, and this might be his last trip to visit with Ryan Zephyr-John.
Yeah, I believe we've already got somebody coming in out of the bullpen. Just Zephyr-John just didn't have it today, and just it's a good quality arm, and there's going to be days like that where you just, no matter what you do, you just don't have it.
6-1 is the score. Baylor has the lead, and a pitching change. We'll tell you about the new Jayhawk after this. It has been an all-conference season for Ryan Zephyr-John of Kansas, but simply a bad day for the right-handed starter for the Jayhawks. He has been pulled in the bottom half of the third inning. He leaves with his team trailing him by a score of 6-1 after giving up a 2-run home run to Josh Bissonnette. The new pitcher into the game for Kansas is Jonah Ulane.
You know, even the best in the game have bad days, and that's a quality arm that Zephyr-John has, and he'll bounce back. Ulane on to pitch, 1-2 on the year, 17th appearance, ERA at 10.2.
That's a bit high.
Yeah, that's it.
24 innings worth of work. He struck out 34 and opponents 292 against him, and he's coming in the third inning, and the hope has to be that he can give them at least a couple of innings. A long relief appearance for him, because you don't want to tax that bullpen too much. TJ Bergusi, the 9-hole hitter, is at the plate for the Bears. 1 ball and 1 strike, and now 2-1. Bergusi grounded out to begin the second. 4-3. That's second to first. Swing and a miss. 2 balls and 2 strikes. TJ on the season enters hitting .360. That's a pretty good average, and this is his 30th game of the year. He's got a home run and 17 runs driven in, and he grounds it again to second. It's bobbled out there by Costantino, and the throw is not in time, and that's the second error of the game committed by the Jayhawks.
This was one of those in-between hops right here. You either need to come and get the ball, shorten the hop up, or give yourself a little bit of distance by backing up in the outfield and creating a little bit longer hop. Ball's hit hard. So you got to either come and get that and make it shorter or back up on it. Good hustle right there, though, sliding head first into first base to beat the throw. I like that. It's not pouting getting down the line. You didn't get a base hit right there, but you're still playing hard.
May go back to the top of the order, and Nick Lofton. He's walked and been hit by a pitch, and he rips this foul off to the left side. He's scored both times that he's come to the plate. Now let me ask you, do you like the guy sliding into first?
I don't mind him sliding into first at all.
Really?
No, at all.
I think you're in the minority.
I probably.
A ball and a strike to Lofton.
I know there's a lot of debate about it. You go to feet first or head first.
You get your uniform dirty.
That's
a good thing.
That's the most important part.
Yeah.
Is get the uniform dirty. It's one of the reasons why I think these synthetic fields
are no fun.
Some of these schools, no, they're not at all. They look beautiful, but you never get dirty.
I've heard they're brutal on washing machines because you get those pellets that clog it up, and this ball is hit well, and that ball's going to find the bullpen, and it's another 2-run home run in the third inning for the Bears, and they are just pouring it on the Jayhawks in this winner's bracket game.
And for Laughlin, that's the first hit of the day, the third run that he scored, though. Second home run of the inning.
Second one to the bullpen.
Yeah, this is a confident bunch right here. This is a breaking ball that just hung right in the zone for him to be able to hit it. Once again, that's one of those ones as a hitter, you know, That's got a really good shot of getting out of here. Another ball hit deep into the bullpen.
And that's how you know that your starting pitcher is doing extremely well, because there's nobody out there in the bullpen to get those souvenirs. 6 hits in the game now for the Bears. 8 runs have been scored. It's 8-1 in the bottom of the third. They have plated 4 runs in this inning.
Confident group just keeps getting more and more confident. There's another ball that's laced.
All the home runs that we've seen so far hit in this tournament have been to left field. Nobody's had the power to pull it over that big wall in the right field corner. Richard Cunningham is up there. He's got power, home run power. 9 homers on the year, 37 runs driven in, and he's hitting .340. 8 runs on 6 hits, no errors for the Bears. We're just in the third.
I tell you, the more I watch these Baylor hitters, and just more impressed I am with their discipline at the plate. It's a well-coached team. They run the bases really well. They obviously pitch really well. They don't hurt themselves defensively, and they just do not swing on a lot of bad pitches.
I'm like you. I like to look at the demeanor of a team and the way it carries itself. And we've been working this tournament, what now, 4 years. And this team has a different swagger to it than I think we've seen from Baylor in a few seasons. They did go to the NCAA tournament last year, but there's a confidence that they're carrying as that ball is caught in left field and Cunningham is retired. And that's just the first out of the inning. But there's something about Baylor baseball where they, I think, have a belief that they are back. They've won 30 or more games for the 2nd consecutive year. And what was it, 2011, 2012, they won 49 games. And this was a team that was annually in the nation's top 25. But there's a swagger, I think, that's back.
It starts with Steve Rodriguez. You know, he's a highly motivational guy. A lot of energy. You watch him down there. He's on the top step. You know, he gives the signs as far as the base running and stuff goes. And I think it starts right there, and then his players just feed off that. Winning some games obviously helps as well.
Yeah. There probably wasn't much swagger when they were losing 10-15. This is Wenzel driving at the center field. Coming in to make the catch is Zuniga, who replaced Rudy Carey. And after 4 runs have scored, the Jayhawks record back-to-back outs. And there's 2 away for Andy Thomas, the 7th hitter to the plate here in this 3rd inning.
But that's what I meant by a while ago. He kept his kids engaged. You know, they stayed in they believed what they were doing, the path that they were on. And now you're seeing a team that, quite frankly, is very scary right now. And that's by no means saying that this is over. We're just in the bottom of the 3rd inning. And Kansas has done a really nice job of battling back in this game. So we'll see if they're going to be able to do it again. They've got some guys that can swing the bat as well.
But they've got to find some confidence.
Yeah, it's deflating. You know, you get out of a big 1st inning only giving up 2 runs. You come back, you score a run in the top half of the 2nd, and the next thing you know, you've given up 6 more.
They carried themselves pretty confidently entering that game yesterday against top-seeded Texas, knowing that they had Jackson Goddard on the mound. They had high expectations for him, and he came through. 3 balls, 1 strike, 2 away. That's off the plate outside, ball 4. Thomas has drawn a toe-out walk, and that'll bring Shea Long-Aliers to the plate. The first walk that's been issued.
Well, the good thing for Kansas, if they keep winning, they go on. Zephyr John did not throw a lot of pitches, so he's going to be able to come back relatively quick. Goddard yesterday was over 100 pitches, so you're looking at him probably not in at least until Saturday at the earliest.
Strike called there to Langoliers, 0-1.
One of the things that we've talked about, and I think what these coaches are really good about, is protecting these kids' arms. Realizing that these guys they're wanting to help them win as many games as possible, but also realizing that they've got a future at the next level in professional baseball.
Jonah Ulane is on the mound for Kansas, ahead in the count to Shea Langoliers. Here's the 0-2 pitch, and this is driven pretty well to left field. Is it going to be fair? Going to be foul? Going to be gone. That's a home run for Shea Langoliers on an 0-2 pitch with 2 away. The third 2-run home run of the inning for the Bears.
Yeah, just way too good of a pitch, 0-2, and mistakes happen, but you don't want them to happen at this time. And it looked like it was a breaking ball that just stayed up in the zone, out over the plate. That was a fastball, high fastball, just right down the middle of the plate, and Langoliers did not miss it. Like you mentioned, third 2-run home run of the game.
Of the inning. And there's a base hit off the bat of Davion Downey. And that's the 9th man to the plate in the home half of the third, and they're not done. So they've ruined the book. They're crushing the scoreboard. It's 10-1 Baylor in the bottom half of the third inning. It's the first time since 2009 that Baylor has hit 3 home runs in an inning, and they did it against Kansas way back in the day. And that pitch gets away from the catcher Gross hands, and Downey heads to second. At the plate is Cole Herring for his second appearance in the inning. He walked and scored on the 2-run home run by Josh Bissonnette. 10 runs on 8 hits. Checked his swing. He went around, and it's 1-1. The inning began with Herring reaching on the walk. Josh Bissonnette hit the 2-run home run. TJ Ragusi, remember, hit that ball to the second baseman. It was bobbled. He reached on the air, and he scored on a 2-run home run by Nick Lofton. Here's a grounder wide of third, and the count moves to a ball and 2 strikes. Cunningham and Wenzel were both retired. Then Thomas walked with 2 outs, and Langoliers hit the 2-run home run. Talk about a tough road to come back on. Kansas this season is 0-17 when allowing 10 runs or more. Off the plate, that's a ball, and it's 2-2.
Well, and unfortunately for Ulane, he's going to, once again, he's going to have to stay out there, because you don't want to start getting your bullpen up and down, up and down. You still got another game to play, possibly more.
And that'll do it for the Bears. Herring grounds out, the 10th man to the plate, and that finally retires the side. But oh, the Bears did some damage in the scoreboard in their half of the third. 3, count them 3, 2 home runs. 1 off the bat of Bissonnette, 1 off the bat of Lofton, and Langoliers also had a 2-run jack, and Baylor leads Kansas 10-1. Beautiful Chickasaw Bricktown Ballpark in Oklahoma City. This is a winner's bracket game, so the loser still has tomorrow. But right now, Baylor is in command. 10-1 is the score. 8 hits. The bottom half of the third inning featured 3 2-run home runs off Bear bats to build a 9-run advantage for Hayden Kettler. Devin Foyle leads it off for the Jayhawks in their half of the fourth. He flew out to right field back in the first. He's got home run power, 10 homers on the season. The 10th was hit yesterday.
For Kansas right now, it's just start stringing together quality at bats. Just try to win your at bat. Get some base runners on. They have the ability to hit the ball out of the ballpark as well. You just got to keep scratching and clawing and see what happens.
Kettler goes off speed and misses outside. 2 balls and a strike with nobody down. Foyle, Brent Sitta, and then Brett Bosick, the scheduled 3, 4, 5, 6 for the Jayhawks in their half of this inning. And that's high, 3-1.
Kettler sat over there for a long time. It's a hot afternoon. You know, a little bit of extra rest always helps, but sometimes that can work in reverse if a guy sits over there for a while.
And that's called strike 2. Foyle thought it was ball 4, so he'll see one more pitch. Did you work with pitchers that were less effective when the lead got big? Guys that pitched better when it was 3-1, 2-1, and were more dialed in?
No, not really. I think for the most part, you know, you always try to remind them to go out and, hey, let's have a shutout inning right here, especially after a big inning like this. And that kept their focus. And I think too at that level they realize that they're facing some guys that can flat out hit all the way through the lineup.
Long fly ball out to the center fielder Cole Herring. Foyle is retired and there's one away.
Plus those guys could sniff that W. So they weren't about to go out there and let up.
Let me ask you then this. Were there guys that you preferred having on the hill or who thrived in those closer games when it was 2-1, 3-1?
Oh, there's no question. I mean, the first guy that comes to mind, I'm just looking at the Baylor uniforms, was Dave Stewart in Oakland. You know, you get him in a tight ball game, and Stu was already intense enough, but man, he was even more special the closer the game.
A ball and a strike to Brent Sitta.
To me, that was always what was so special about closers, because they're being brought in those situations that it is always tight.
Right. The 2-1 offering fouled off to the right, and the count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Sitta doubled in the second and scored.
I never understood, though, and still don't. It's kind of like those closers when they come in and they give up the lead and they get beat. It's like field goal kickers that miss a field goal with 2 seconds left in the game. Well, what about the other 47 minutes and 58 seconds in the game? Do those not count anymore? You know, and it's just, it's always the closer. He gave up the lead. He lost the game. Well, we had 9 innings prior to that to score more runs.
Right. The count's full, and this pitch is golfed high in the air. And Herring shows patience and gloves it for the second out. Back-to-back fly ball outs to center field. 2 down in the Jayhawks half of the fourth. And that'll bring Brett Bosick to the plate, who grounded out in the second inning. 10-1 is our score.
Now, what could change was the way that you went about pitching guys. You know, you may try to throw a few more fastballs in situations to get guys swinging the bat.
And Bosick swings at the first pitch. There's a triangle of Bears, and it's going to be an inning dominated by the center fielder, Cole Herring. He calls everybody off. 3 fly ball outs to center, and the Jayhawks go in order for the second consecutive inning, trailing it by 9.
I think this is the first year that, you know, we finally have all the pieces that we need. Our team has got a lot of confidence right now. I think we've won the last 5 series in a row, and you know, just the opportunity to take a championship back home to Waco for the first time would be phenomenal. Get some good wins for our RPI to still move up and solidify our regional spot. And that's really what we're trying to do here.
That's the outstanding reliever for Baylor, Troy Montemayor, talking about their goals coming into this conference championship. And when they scored 10 runs or more, well, they're 11-0 on the year. Not many teams lose when they score that many runs, and they're unbeaten so far. And they have won 19 of their last 22 games in the regular season, and with their victory yesterday over Oklahoma. Today they're doing it with offense. Yesterday they did it with great pitching. Cody Bradford, the conference pitcher of the year, shut out the Sooners, a 4-0 victory. Josh Bissonette is leading off the 4th inning for Baylor. He struck out looking with the bases loaded in the 1st inning, and then atoned for it in the 3rd with a 2-run home run, part of a 6-run barrage put together by the Bears in their half of the 3rd. And he's punched out looking for the 2nd time. 1 away. Jonah Ulane is the pitcher on the hill for Kansas, on the relief of Ryan Zefferjan, the all Big 12 pitcher. Just couldn't quite get the job done today.
That's a good fastball right there. Got a little bit of tail on it. Just catches the outside corner. He's got a good arm. He's just made a couple of mistakes in the middle of the plate, and Baylor's made him pay for it.
TJ Ragusi's at the plate. That pitch away, now 2-0. Baylor is the 5 seed in this tournament, and there have been a couple of teams over the history of this tournament that have won the title from that spot. Ragusi takes a strike. 5 seeds that have won it. You go back to 1999. Nebraska won it from the 5 spot. Texas A&M won it in 2007, and Texas twice has won the Big 12 championship from the 5 spot. The Longhorns won it in 2008 and again in 2015.
And Kansas doesn't have to look any farther than last year. Oklahoma State winning it from the 8 seed.
That Texas team in 2015, that was a team that didn't quite have the same. We're talking about swagger with Baylor. They kind of limped into the conference tournament, and Augie Garrido did some kind of Augie magic and got that team on a roll. That was in Tulsa, I believe. And had they not won it, in all likelihood, they were not going to a regional. I don't think the same can be said with this Baylor team. I think they know they're going. I think anybody knows anything about this team and what it's done the last 6 weeks. This is an NCAA tournament team that a lot of folks are not going to want to mess with. But that Texas squad from the 5 spot, they had to win it, and they did.
Yeah, I believe they beat Oklahoma State that year in the finals. But you're absolutely right. This Baylor squad, they've got a number of ways to beat you. First of all, those guys on the mound, good starting pitching, good bullpen. Offensively, they do a number of things very well.
Ragusi set down for the 2nd inning, or for the 2nd out of the inning, and now Nick Lofton. Lofton 3 times to the plate in this game. He's walked, been hit by a pitch, and he had a 2-run home run. He has scored all 3 times that he's come to the plate. Fastball taken for a strike, and it's 1-1. High and away, 2-1. Two balls, 1 strike, 2 down, and this ball is hammered to center field. It's getting out there quickly, and it's over the head of Zuniga on his way to 2nd, and now putting the brakes on as he takes a huge turn. And it's a double for Nick Lofton with 2 away. So he's on again. Will he score again?
Well, it's another ball. He just smokes right here. This ball carries a long way, hits down on top of it, puts some backspin on the ball. Ball gets hammered to center field. Then wisely pulls up before making the 3rd out at 3rd base.
He was spinning his wheels in that dirt.
There must be something about that area right there. We've had 2 or 3 guys that have Hit the old turf sniper right there.
Here's Cunningham. Tap back to the pitcher. Ulane waits on it. Throws a strike to first, and the side is retired. So Nick Lofton is left, and Baylor for the first time fails to score a run. When we come back, we'll talk to the head Bear, Steve Rodriguez, after this. Welcome back to Chickasaw Bricktown Ballpark in Oklahoma City. Mickey Tettleton reminiscing about Detroit Tigers baseball with another former Tiger, Steve Rodriguez, who is now the head coach of the Baylor Bears. His team leads Kansas by a score of 10-1. Steve, it has been an impressive performance so far by your team in this game and in this tournament. How confident is your team? And let me ask you this, why is your team so confident at this point in the season?
Probably because I'm staying out of the way. I'm being honest with you. I mean, they're coming out there. They're having a lot of fun. You know, like I try to explain to people, a lot of the coaching has to happen early and through the middle of the year. And at the end of the year, they have to kind of go and do what they're going to do. And you let the athletes play. And from my standpoint, I just want to make sure that all the details are taken care of and all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
Steve, I've been really impressed with you guys from an offensive standpoint. The approach that you guys have at the plate, the discipline. And then they're not missing pitches in the middle of the plate.
Well, I'll tell you what, Zephyr, man, a guy's throwing 94 to 97, and you know, he's kind of got shotgun command all over in the zone, and it becomes like one of those things where you have to really ISO focus on that zone and then get something you like, because if you miss it, I mean, he can dot up a slider anytime, and so we were just very fortunate to take advantage of some free bases and lay some good swings on some pitches. Stay aggressive in that zone. That's the motto.
Steve, we appreciate your time, but apparently you need to get back to work.
I always seem to be holding this game up. Yes,
we're fine with it. We enjoy the conversation. Good luck.
All right, thanks guys.
Coach.
That's a good guy right there. Third-year head coach of the Baylor Bears, Steve Rodriguez, a Pepperdine legend as a player and as a coach. He won a College World Series championship back in the 90s, became a West Coast Conference Coach of the Year, took the Waves to the NCAA tournament, and took over the Baylor program now 3 years ago and has built it back up into a team that nobody wants to mess with, at least this time of the year, this season.
Well, the folks out there didn't get to hear it, but in between break, we were talking about him and his Tiger days and playing for Sparky. You know, and what better guy to have as a mentor type for you going on to be a head coach. And that was the same way that Sparky was. You know, you let the guys go out and play. You let your athletes take over. And Steve mentioned that, you know, staying out of the way.
His team has a 10-1 lead on Kansas. We're in the top of the 5th inning, so the Jayhawks are at the plate, and leading it off is Owen Taylor. Taylor has an RBI in this game, bringing in Brent Sitta back in the 2nd inning. That was on a ground out back to the pitcher. 10 runs on 9 hits for Baylor, 1 run on 3 hits and 2 errors committed by Kansas. This ball is hit well, right center field. Going back is Herring, and he gets there shy of the track to make the catch. That ball was tagged pretty well.
Yeah, it was. The ball was hit really well. Herring playing on the right field side of center field. Good speed, good jump. Able to track that ball down. Nothing you can do about that as a hitter. All you can do is hit it hard somewhere, and Taylor did. It's a nice play by the center fielder.
That's the 5th consecutive putout recorded by Cole Herring in center field.
It's got to be a record.
Gross hands, Foyle, Sidovasic, and now Taylor all hitting fly ball outs to center.
It's got to be a record.
Skylar Bessinger stands in. He had an infield single back in the 2nd inning and was left. The Jayhawks have stranded 2 through 4. That's fouled back, and the count moves to 0-2. We've been talking throughout the tournament, and Chad and George have as well, about the impact of the game that Augie Garrido had on college baseball for all of the decades that he was a coach out in California. Cal Poly Pomona, Cal State Fullerton winning a College World Series, winning College World Series with the University of Texas as Messinger goes down on strikes, and Herring is not a part of the equation there, but there's 2 away in the inning. Steve Rodriguez had told us an interesting story as well, that he was on the Pepperdine team in 1992 that defeated Augie Garrido's Cal State Fullerton team in the College World Series championship game. And whenever their paths would cross, once Steve got into coaching, they would talk about it. Augie was certainly good-natured about it. But when Steve Rodriguez got the job and made the move from California to Texas, as we have heard so many times, one of the first people to reach out with congratulations and offerings of help was Augie Garrido, and he said it was unique to him because he could relate to making the move from the state of California to the state of Texas. Two very unique cultures, talent-rich places, and Steve said Augie told him, whatever you need to help you make that transition, to help build your program, let me know and I will do it. And he relied upon it.
That was Augie Garrido. You know, he was just a first-class individual. And I think that the common theme, you know, that you hear from these coaches was friendship. And it just something that, you know, you just can't replace the respect that these other guys had for Augie.
3 up and 3 down for the third consecutive inning. 10-1 is the score. The Bears on top of the Jayhawks. 10-1 is the score. Baylor has the lead on Kansas, and we're joined right now by Kansas head coach Rich Price. And Rich, this has not been a game with a good start for your club. How do you get them to finish this game strong and let the chips fall where they may by the time all is said and done?
Well, first off, we got to start putting some zeros up and get back in here and string good quality at bats and see if we can put up a couple crooked numbers and get back in it.
Richie, you guys had a rough stretch about halfway through the season, but you got to be really proud of your kids the way that they finished up and got you guys into this Big 12 tournament.
Yeah, Mickey, no doubt, man. I mean, we have 4 pitchers in our dugout that are out for season-ending injuries, so a lot of freshmen pitching before their developments made them ready. But, you know, Zephyr Jones had a great year for us. Unfortunately, today he just didn't get it done here today.
Rich, thank you for your time.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Best of luck the rest of the way. He is the dean of Big 12 Conference baseball coaches, Rich Price, at the University of Kansas. Now 16 seasons. More than 400 Big 12 Conference games coached, and earlier this year he picked up his 700th career win, and he did it in impressive fashion. It was a victory over 5th-ranked Texas Tech, and they won that game 17-3.
Well, they have the ability to score some runs. I mean, this game is far from over. It's just, you know, right now Kettler has gotten into a nice little groove.
Wenzel swings at the pitch and skies it high, shallow left field. Well, the shortstop's back to make that catch. That's Ben Sims, and there's one away. Wenzel, Thomas, and Langoliers, the scheduled 3 for Baylor in the 5th inning. They sent 8 men to the plate in the first, 7 men to the plate in the second, and 10 batters to the plate in that 6-run 3rd inning, in which they got 3 2-run home runs. And we just talked to Rich Price, and now we see Ryan Graves. And this, in all likelihood, is going to be all for Jonah Ulane, who was called to come on in relief of Ryan Zephyr-John, who just did not have the kind of performance that they were hoping for, and he was lifted during that 6-run barrage in the 3rd. So we'll tell you about the new KU pitcher right after this. (10-1) is the score. Baylor has the lead on Kansas midway through this winner's bracket game. Should Kansas not come back, their tournament is not over. 10 runs on 9 hits for Baylor, 1 run, 3 hits. There was a costly one of 2 errors in the game. That one was extremely costly in that 3rd inning. So Jonah Ulane's day has come to an end. Connor Van Cleve is the new pitcher in the game for Kansas.
And Connor, big guy, big left-hander. Throws the ball hard. No, Ulane he did what he needed him to do. He did not have the outing that he wanted to have, but he went out there and he sucked up some innings. There you see Van Cleve's number, 18th appearance, 9.12, another high ERA, 24 innings pitched. The guy's hitting .320 against him.
He's made 5 starts on the season, and now in a relief role, and he'll face Andy Thomas, the cleanup hitter for Baylor. He had a 2-run single in the 1st inning, lined out to left, then walked and scored a run in the 3rd. First pitch of ball, 1-0. One more game to go today at Bricktown. And that'll be the matchup between TCU and West Virginia. It's another winner's bracket game. Oklahoma defeated Texas and eliminated the Longhorns earlier today. So the regular season champs, well, they go 0-2 and they're done. Also eliminated today, the number 2 seed Oklahoma State, a team that was in control of the conference race up until about a week and a half ago. They ran into some problems, got swept in a series, and that opened the door for Texas to take the title. So Oklahoma State was pretty motivated. That's Thomas drawing a walk, so he reaches with one away. OSU was motivated coming into town to claim a championship, but the 2 seed has also been sent home. That after losing to Texas Tech this afternoon in a 3 versus 2 losers bracket matchup.
For Oklahoma State, it actually started 2 weeks ago in Waco. The Bears took 2 or 3 from them down there. And Texas Tech, who looked really good today. The team that was picked to win the Big 12 in the preseason.
That ball ripped to third and caught by the third baseman Skylar Messinger. What a grab.
Yeah, this ball was smoked right here by Langolier. Hit right on the button. Messenger does a nice job diving to his right.
Third base umpire John Bramer was right there to make the call. Thomas Davis put it first.
It's good base running too, recognizing that ball's hit hard on the line, not taken off.
He didn't have time to take off.
True.
That ball skips to the plate. Grosshands has no play, and now Thomas takes off for second.
Another good recognition. Ball in the dirt, just gets far enough away from Grosshands that they don't have a play. That's a little things. We've talked about it before. Games within the game, and that's one of them. Good base running. You know, and it's a team that's well coached. You know, I've been really impressed with Baylor and just the way that they go about their business. Their pitchers throw strikes. Their hitters are disciplined at the plate. They have good at bats. They don't beat themselves defensively.
It's a wild pitch. Charge to Van Cleve that sends Thomas into scoring position. Davion Downey's at the plate, 276 hitter. Today he has walked on 4 pitches, grounded out, singled, and was left in scoring position at second base, and he takes one right on the backside. So Downey's on base with 2 away. The Bears have 2 on for Cole Herring.
I guess we'll have to get some body armor for that now too. Fastball just right on the numbers. Got that thing on his elbow there, and it completely missed that. Just got him right in the back.
2 outs, 2 on for Cole Herring. He has struck out, walked, and scored and grounded out. He batted twice in that 3rd inning. He started it and finished it. He scored on the 2-run home run, the first of 3 in that inning. He is off the bat. He followed or scored on Josh Bissonette's home run. Nothing in 1. Anxious to see that game tonight between TCU and West Virginia, because TCU has won this championship before, and West Virginia has also gone on a couple of runs in this Big 12 tournament to get to the championship game. Off speed, and Herring did a nice job waiting on that.
Strange to say TCU is the number 6 seed.
Yeah. That was a team that 2 years ago in that conference tournament, or 3 years ago now, that Texas won from the 5 spot. TCU entered the tournament as one of the best teams in the country, thinking national championship, hosting a regional, super regional, getting to Omaha and winning it all. So when they went 2 and out, they weren't too disappointed by that. In fact, Jim Schlossnagle told us that one of the first people to text him after they lost their 2nd game was in fact Augie Garrido. And you say, hey, this sets up perfectly for you to go back, get healthy, get rested, and make the run that we all know that you could make.
Well, this was a little bit of a transition year for TCU. They've got some young players that are playing, some very talented young players. But obviously the big blow again, Luke and Baker going down, the big right-hand hitting first baseman that has a world of talent swinging the bat. You know, every time you lose somebody like that, and they've lost him from a long period of time, 2 years in a row. Jim Schlossnagle and his staff, they do an amazing job down there. It's another team that's very well coached. They play the game hard. They play the game right. Pitching is always exceptional.
That ball gets past Groh's hands and rolls to the backstop, and that advances everybody 90 feet. So Thomas deeper in scoring position at third. And Downey, who was hit by a pitch just a moment ago, is now at second base with 2 away.
Yeah, one thing we try to get taught as catchers is don't catch it. In Groh's hands, even though that ball was a fastball in the dirt, you see he tried to catch it right there, and it went right through the 5-hole. We're taught to block the ball. So you try to keep that glove down. If it hits and goes over your head, there's nothing you can do about it. But when it goes between your legs, that's our fault as catchers.
Here's the 2-2 pitch, and that's just a bit high, and we're full. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. And the Bears have runners at second and third. They already lead it by 9. Getting back to that text from Garrido to Schlossnagle, it seems as though that was Augie's way of saying, good luck, we're glad you're gone. We'll take it from here. And they went on to win the title. Off the plate, outside, ball 4, and they're loaded with 2 down for Bissonnette, who already has a 2-run home run in this game. And this is what he did back in the 3rd inning. Now, he has struck out looking twice in the game, but sandwiched right in between those 2 backward Ks, this long ball into the bullpen in left field.
Yeah, it was a fastball right down the middle that he did not miss at all. And both those balls that were hit into the bullpen were hit a long ways.
So the bases are full for Bissonnette. Van Cleve sets, and here's his first pitch to him, and this ball is hit in the air but not deep. It'll be caught and retire the side, and for the second time in the inning or the game, Baylor has left the bases loaded. They have now stranded 10 through 5, but they lead it by a bunch, 10-1. 10-1, Baylor has the lead on Kansas. We go to the top half of the 6th inning. 9 hits in the game for the Bears. They have stranded 10. That'll give Steve Rodriguez something to grouse about. Kansas just 1 run on 3 hits, a couple of errors committed. This is the number 2 ranked RPI conference in the country heading into postseason play. Texas Tech finds itself in the top 5, but the Longhorns' resume is very good. Both of the Oklahoma schools right in the middle of the 30-pack. Baylor's not far behind, well, right behind them in 38. West Virginia is in the top 50. TCU finds itself right there on the border when it comes to the RPI, if you're talking about 64 team fields. But you add that all up and it equals 2. And then you take a look at one of the reasons why, and it has been because collectively, just put one big check mark there. All of those teams in this conference have done what was essentially mandated to them and by them. We need to schedule strong teams pre-conference, and when we have that open in our conference schedule, find somebody to play. Bring them in or go someplace, but make sure that the out-of-conference schedule is enhanced and is solid, and it has been collectively, and that's why there is so much respect for this conference, because they have challenged themselves and in a lot of regards have had success.
And I think Jim Schlossnagle, Tim Tadlock were probably the guys that really started that. You know, both those guys have challenged their kids early in the season, and it's not necessarily for, you know, for RPI and stuff like that. They're trying to get them ready to play in Omaha.
And I think for Jim Schlossnagle, that goes back to his Mountain West days when he was when TCU was in the Mountain West, and he was building a program that was competitive with everybody in the country, but the conference schedule certainly isn't what his teams face in the Big 12. And there's a strikeout to begin the top of the 6th. Down on strikes is Mateo Zuniga, who came on a relief of Rudy Carey.
Well,
so there's one away.
You know, one thing that helps, you see a good high fastball right there that Zuniga just not able to catch up to. You know, we talked about the Baylor offense a lot right now. Kettler has very quietly, since the first inning, just set the Jayhawks down, or the second inning, sorry, when he gave up the 1 run. But I think where college baseball is in such a great place right now is not only the Power 5 conferences, but you look around at some of these teams in the lower Division I conferences, if you will. There's a bunch of these dudes that don't want to play these teams. The Sam Houston States, Oral Roberts, you know, just people around this area, Missouri State. There's a bunch of teams that, you know, these guys can flat play.
At the plate, James Cosentino. He waves at that pitch, and down he goes on strikes, and there's quickly 2 down in the top of the 6th inning.
But I think that also says a lot about the pool of high school players that there is to pick from now is so much deeper than, say, when I was in high school and stuff. And I think that the players that are coming out to Division I schools, they're ready to play. You look at some of the training stuff they have, and you know, a lot of these summer programs where these players are being developed at a younger age. And college baseball is in a really good place.
Baylor's in a pretty good place right now, leading it by a score of 10-1 as Kansas goes in order for the 4th consecutive inning. The 3rd inning was one of the most productive innings in Big 12 Conference tournament history. For the Baylor Bears, they score 6 runs in dramatic and powerful fashion. 3 2-run home runs. 1 off the bat of Josh Bissonette, another off the bat of Nick Lofton, and then Shea Langoliers also had a 2-run home run. They sent 10 batters to the plate, scored 6 runs on 4 hits. They took advantage of a Kansas error and opened up the game big time. After 3 innings, Baylor led 10-1, and the Bears still lead it by a score of 10-1. And Kansas has gone to its bullpen once again. And this is number 49, Gabriel Sotomayor, a sophomore right-hander who kind of whips that ball toward the plate.
Yeah, I was just watching him warm up. This is a very unique delivery, and where the baseball gets behind his back. I'm not sure I've ever seen this before. We'll get a look at it here on these first couple of pitches, and just very unique. Almost like the ball gets over to his left hip. Behind his back.
First pitch is a strike to T.J. Ragusi. Checked his swing, but he went around. That's a strike, and it's 0-2. Rick Sutcliffe, who I'm sure you faced several times, he
Absolutely.
had that hitch behind him when he delivered that. He put it back and then kind of inch it back a little further.
He cuffed it, or cupped it back there. Well, we've seen some unique deliveries. Prater from Oklahoma, the left-hander, really steps across his body. But I mean, I think it just goes to show you that there's all sorts of ways to get it done.
Sotomayor misses inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. He's 6'3", 179 pounds. He's a sophomore from Garabo, Puerto Rico. Fouled off to the left side. Will that reach the seats? It will, but just barely. Then ricochet back to the field. So Sotomayor is back out there. His first appearance in this championship tournament. 2 balls, 2 strikes, the count to Ragusi, and after him back to the top of the order, and it's Nick Lofton, who has been on base in 4 previous plate appearances in this game, and he has scored 3 times. Richie Cunningham scheduled 3rd. Baylor has scored 10 times and stranded 10 base runners. That's through 5 plate appearances. The count's full. Sotomayor missing outside with that last pitch. To the second baseman. Costantino's got it over to first, and there's one down.
Another ball hit right on the button by the Bears hitters. Costantino makes a nice play at second base, going to his left. That's one thing you try to do in this situation is don't give up at bats right here. Stay focused on both sides. You're up by 9 runs, bottom of the 6th inning. Still try to put together good at bats.
Especially when you've got a game to play tomorrow. Oklahoma will take on the loser of this game tomorrow at 3 o'clock. So even though things don't look good right now for Kansas, and that fastball was right over the head of Lofton, and the home plate umpire Michael Banks steps out from behind the plate, make sure that there's no ill will. But remember, Lofton does have a home run. Boy, that is right over the helmet.
Yeah, and I don't think so right there. I mean, it just maybe trying to hold on to it a little bit longer, throw it a little bit harder. Goes back to those unwritten rules, though, that you have in baseball. When you're going to throw at somebody, you don't throw at their head.
And that fastball is low. 3 balls, I beg your pardon, 2 balls and 1 strike. Lofton walked and scored in the first, was hit by a pitch, and scored in the second, and then hit the 2-run home run in the third, and rips this to left field. This should be extra bases. It's going to find the corner. Over to play it is Devin Foyle. Lofton walks his way into second base. That's his second double of the game to go with that 2-run home run, and it comes with 1 out in the 6th.
The 5th straight time he's been on base. Talk about production from the leadoff spot. Another ball that he just rips down the left field line. Gets into the corner and just an easy stand-up double.
He entered the game with 8 doubles on the season. He now has 10. That home run was his 6th. Lofton's playing in his 50th game of the year, 48th start.
See, that's a great example of not giving up an at bat right there. He's already got a couple of hits on the day, scored runs. From a hitting standpoint, if you get 3 hits, get 4. If you get 4, get 5, because there's going to be days when you don't get any.
And again, Baylor has left 10 on base already in this game. You've got a runner in scoring position here. You've got a big lead, but you got to get into the habit of picking up runners when you have the opportunity to score runs. And that goes back to what you said. Have good at bats. No matter whether you're up by 9, down by 9, neither one of these teams is going to see their season come to an end or their tournament come to an end, depending on the outcome of this game. Kansas could play tomorrow, even though they may end up losing this game, and they're behind big right now.
Well, I think you try to get in the habit of teaching your kids to play for 27 outs. From start to finish, play the game hard, regardless of the outcome.
2 balls and a strike with 1 away. Cunningham has scored twice. He has 2 hits. Those coming in his first 2 at bats, a single and a run scored, and an RBI double that he later scored. Fouled off left side, giving chase, and taking a look is Messinger, and that's out of play, and the count's 2-2.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough play right there from Messinger. Gave it a good look. The ball hits and goes up into the stands. We haven't seen any really good wrestling matches for any balls in the stands.
Well, most people have been on the concourse or in the shade. Now, this is one of the first times of the games that we've done, and of course it's later in the day and we've been the morning crew, but everybody's been tucked under the stands because the sun has been so intense and the humidity and the heat.
Yeah, been some great crowds.
That floats high, and the count's full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. So with everybody tucked under the seats and on the concourse, nobody wants to go battle for a foul ball that's ricocheting around at the 4th row.
Well, I was just talking about the kids.
Oh.
You know, you got kids that come down and get them a foul ball, and then they go back to school and they tell guys that they dove over 3 rows of chairs, made a fabulous catch.
That ball is belted into right field, and it gets there pretty quickly, and that got there so fast to right that does not allow Lofton to score from second. Ordinarily at a base hit to the outfield, that means a run's going to come in, but Cunningham hit it too hard. That's his 3rd hit of the inning, or the game, beg your pardon.
Yeah, not only was it hit hard, but it was hit right at him. So really no chance, even for Laughlin, as well as he runs, to be able to score right there.
Double play is in order for Kansas to end this scoring threat. Lofton's at 3rd, Cunningham at 1st. Middle infield guys in a couple of steps. Kansas has turned 46 double plays on the season. Same number as their opponent.
Yeah, this shows too where we're at in this stage of the game. You know, down by 9 runs. If this is a closer game at this stage of the game, you're probably bringing your infield in. Right now, they're going to play them back. Hope to get that ground ball double play to get you out of the inning.
Wenzel is without a hit. He hit a deep fly ball back in the 1st inning that was actually a pretty critical play because Lofton was on, as was Cunningham, at 1st and 2nd. That ball was hit so deep that they were both able to advance after the catch was made. That ball hit foul, and now Wenzel's behind 0-2. He was hit by a pitch and left at 3rd in the 2nd, lined out to center, and then popped up to short. Wenzel on the season, hitting .326, 7 home runs, 42 runs driven in.
He's got the big league Grizzly Adams look going there.
Yeah. Kind of a hockey playoff beard.
He's been working on that one for a while.
One ball and 2 strikes.
That was another thing in Detroit we couldn't have was facial hair.
Ah. And for some guys, that was a pretty good rule. You don't want somebody trying to do what they can't.
No. I mean, in my case, the cat could lick the beard off.
Wenzel on the season, .392 with runners in scoring position. He's got Lofton over there at 3rd. A ball and 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. And there's 2 away.
Good fastball right there. 91 miles an hour. Good location. So he's quirky. He's got a delivery that he hides the ball extremely well. I've never seen anybody though that when they get the ball extended away from him has it where he does behind him.
And that's the last batter that he's going to face. Andy Thomas was coming to the plate. Ryan Graves goes out to the mound, and that'll be all for Gabriel Sotomayor. Kind of fun to watch him pitch. He leaves though with 2 Bears on base. Reset the scene after this on Fox. I mean, I'm smart, but come on. Gabriel Sotomayor is finished in this one. Been lifted for a relief pitcher. Daniel Haggerty, a freshman left-hander, is the new pitcher for the Jayhawks. He is the 5th Kansas pitcher in this game. Ryan Zefferjohn started it. They had high hopes for him, but he could not get out of the 3rd. Jonah Ulane, Connor Van Cleve, Sotomayor, and now Haggerty. And he'll face Andy Thomas, a left-handed hitter, and he inherits a situation in which the Bears have runners at 1st and 2nd. There are 2 outs in the inning.
Yeah, it's giving the freshman an opportunity to come in here and pitch in the Big 12 tournament. 15 appearances on the year. Once again, ERA just a little bit high. He's got 14 Ks though in 16 innings pitched. Right now for Kansas, this might be some, guys have not had some work maybe in a few days. Get them in, get them some game action. You're still going to need everybody tomorrow. No matter how this game turns out going forward. So just give some guys an opportunity to go out and get some game time.
Off speed, that misses. 2 balls and no strikes to Thomas. There's already been one game in this tournament that was shortened by run rule. That was TCU's 12-2 victory this morning. And by this morning, I mean after midnight. TCU beat Texas Tech. Here's a grounder out to second, and the Jayhawks retire another Baylor threat. So 6 innings are complete. Baylor still has a commanding lead on the Jayhawks, but they have left 12 runners on base in this game. With Mickey Tettleton, I'm Bill Dolman. 10-1 is the score. Baylor has the lead on Kansas through 6 innings of play. We go to the 7th. Here's a look at the other bracket here in Oklahoma City in this 2018 Phillips 66 Big 12 Baseball Championship. Coming up later on tonight, game scheduled to begin at 7:30. That's not going to happen. But it'll be a winner's bracket matchup between the 6 and 7 seeds, West Virginia and TCU. The winner of that game gets tomorrow off. The loser will take on Texas Tech tomorrow in an elimination game. In the bracket that we've been following since it began back on Wednesday morning, Baylor has the lead on Kansas. The loser of this game plays tomorrow against Oklahoma. That will also be an elimination game. And of course, the tournament wraps up this weekend. Every lower seeded team has won. Baylor, as the number 5 seed, looks as though it may be in a position to bring that run to an end. The 5 seed leads the 8. Leading it off is Devin Foyle. 2 strikes to him. Hayden Kettler continues to work rather inauspiciously out there on the mound.
Yeah, he's very quietly put together an outstanding outing thus far. Only giving up 3 hits, 1 run.
And that fastball misses in. I think Langeliers thought that was a strike. He was ready to fire a pitch out there to third base and run it around the horn. Instead, it's 2-2.
And importantly, a thing that's getting kind of overlooked here, what Bradford did yesterday, he went deep in the game. Kettler's deep into the game. There's been no activity in that Baylor bullpen, so those guys are getting rest out there. If they go on to win, they get the day off tomorrow, so the bullpen gets another day of rest.
Here's the 2-2. And another pitch that's fouled, and we'll do it again. All right. Do you like guys to have so much rest, or would you like to get them a little bit of work so that they are acclimated to the environment and they're, in game mode at least for a little bit?
I think it all depends on the staff. There's certain guys that need to throw, and they know who those guys are.
Fly ball left field.
But I think any time that, particularly this point in the season, these kids have thrown a lot of balls. They pitched a lot of innings. Anytime you can give them a little bit of a break out there. Of course, they'll be playing, doing some flat ground work, on the side and before games and stuff like that. But anytime you can get a chance to give them a little extra rest, I'm all for it.
TJ Bergusi made the play and left. 1 away for Brent Setta. He doubled and scored the lone run of the game for the Jayhawks. That was back in the 2nd inning. Baylor jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the 1st. Kansas cut that lead in half with a run in the 2nd. Baylor got 2 more in the 2nd and then 6 runs in the 3rd. Neither team has scored since. Ground ball up the middle. The shortstop Lofton has it. Good throw to first, 2 away.
That's the first ball right there. And we had a pinch hitter, Blaine Ray, that has really been hit hard off Kettler. He has not had a whole lot of balls in the last few innings that these Jayhawk hitters have been able to square up.
So Ray was inserted into the lineup for Sitta. And here's another new hitter into the game for Kansas. This is Luke Bacula, senior first baseman, inserted in for Bosick, the designated hitter.
And this on the flip side of it, you're talking about the Baylor bullpen getting some rest and the Kansas bullpen getting a little bit of activity. This gives your hitters a chance to come in and get a live game at bat as well. You never know when you're going to need these guys.
And Bacula grounds it out to the third baseman Wenzel, and for the 5th consecutive inning, Kansas goes in order, 3 up and 3 down. 10 runs on 11 hits, no errors for the Baylor Bears, 1-3-2 for the Kansas Jayhawks in this winners bracket game, the 2018 Phillips 66 Big 12 Conference Baseball Championship. Close game early, not so much after the third, but neither team has been able to dent that scoreboard again since that third frame. Baylor's had opportunities though, and if Steve Rodriguez wants to make sure his team turn something around, it is the fact that they have left 12 runners on base through 6 innings. We go to the bottom half of the 7th. The stretch is over, and it will be Shea Langoliers, Davion Downey, and Cole Herring for the Bears. Brandon Ponticelli is the new pitcher for Kansas. Sixth pitcher of the game now used by KU.
And once again, just trying to get some innings for these guys, get them a little bit of live work. Maybe they have not pitched in a while, so get them in a game. And you can throw in the bullpen all you want to, but once you get between the lines, it's a completely different thing.
It's Ponticelli, Celli. Went a little more European with the initial pronunciation. 1 ball and 1 strike. Langoliers has one of those 3 2-run home runs. He also has a base hit and reached on a 4-pitch walk. He was set down his last time up. He lined it in the 5th inning into the glove of Skylar Messinger, the third baseman, who made a terrific play on it to rob him of a hit. A ball and 2 strikes.
And for the first time, we see a little bit of activity in the Baylor bullpen.
Chopper over the hill, out to short. Sims has it, and there's one away.
It's a nice play right there. It's a difficult play. It's a high chopper. The ball hit out in front of the plate. Charges it, makes a nice strong throw on the run.
Stepping to the plate now, right fielder.
Kansas has got a lot of nice pieces. They got some guys that can play. They just, unfortunately today, just ran into a Baylor team that so far has just played spectacularly today.
Davion Downey's at the plate, and that pitch as though it got a piece of the home plate umpire. Bought himself a little bit of time by walking that pitch.
There was a guy in the big leagues named Ken Kaiser. And if that would have been Kai's right there, he would have rolled the ball back to the mound if he got hit. And then if you had a veteran pitcher out there, the standoff began. Who was going to go get it? The biggest majority of time, it was the bat boy. Yeah, Kais would roll the ball back to the mound.
Here's Davion Downey. 2 balls and a strike. Downey has a hit. He's also been hit by a pitch and walked. Officially 1 for 2 in the game. He has not scored a run though. Skies this one high in the air, center field. Back went Zuniga. Now he comes in. Plenty of time to make the catch, and he does. And there's 2 away in the inning. Did an umpire ever get angry with you for not catching or blocking a pitch?
No, because I think that there's a lot of times if you get crossed up, they understand that. And you know, a ball in the dirt, you can't always tell where it's going to go. It may hit in the hole and bounce up and hit them in the mask. I just think sometimes they were a little bit sensitive about it when they got hit. You know, it's like,
and I meant angry in a jokingly way, like, hey, you got to help me out here. Don't do that again.
Well, no, I mean, you know what's involved when you get back here. There's a chance you're going to get hit.
There's Cole Herring. He's walked twice, struck out and grounded out. But he has scored a run, and that was in that third.
But there were guys like Kenny that, like I said, they would, you know, think that they shouldn't have gotten hit.
A ball and 2 strikes after that foul ball. We're in the 7th in a 9-run game. The 1-2 out to third, played nicely by Messinger. The throw's good as well, and that retires the side. For the first time in this game, Baylor goes 3 up and 3 down. They lead it by plenty after 7. Hayden Kettler's day is done. A brilliant performance by him. He sent down the last 16 batters that he faced. Really only ran into some trouble once, and that was in the 2nd inning. He gave up a leadoff double to Brent Sitta, who later scored, and that's when Kansas closed the gap from 2-0 to 2-1. But after that, he just dominated and did so rather quietly.
Yeah, he did. He got into a groove, and just really Kansas never really threatened after that 2nd inning when he gave up the run. You see his numbers right there. 7-inning pitch, only 3 hits, 1 earned run, 5 Ks. Importantly, no base on balls. I mean, he got the big league, and he threw strikes, and he made Kansas swing the bat. That's 2 pretty good performances back to back for Baylor. Yesterday by Bradford, the Big 12 pitcher of the year, and then Kettler today.
It's the 3rd time this season that he's worked into the 7th or through the 7th. We're in the 8th now, and it's Joe Heineman, a senior right-hander, who will take to the hill for the Bears and get a little bit of work and protect this 9-run lead, or at least try to. We didn't think we could see a much better pitching performance than we saw from Cody Bradford yesterday, and you'd have a pretty good argument if you said that Hayden Kettler was even better.
Oh, I don't think you could argue. Both of them just outstanding.
Now the situation and the circumstance much different. Bradford was in a tighter game. Baylor beat Oklahoma 4-0. And Kettler was working with a 9-run advantage for most of the time that he was out there, but he still did his job. And to set down 16 in a row.
You still got to go out and pitch. You don't want to, you know, just like hitters don't want to give up at bats. You don't want to go out and start letting the opposing team throw up a bunch of crooked numbers on the board.
So it's Heineman who gets the ball, and his first pitch is to Owen Taylor, the first baseman. Taylor owns the only RBI of this game for the Jayhawks, and that was a ball that was hit back to the pitcher with the runner at third. They made the play at first and allowed the run to score. So he's 0 for 2, and the count's 1-1 to him to begin the 8th inning.
I know he's got some good numbers. 1.7 ERA, 20 innings pitched, 26 strikeouts in those innings, only 3 walks. Once again, that strikeout to base on ball ratio that I look for guys coming out of the bullpen.
Opponents are hitting just 197 against him in 18 appearances. Strike taken, and it's 2-2. After Taylor, Messinger and Sims, 7, 8, 9 in the Jayhawk 8th. Called a ball, and the count's full, 3-2. Kansas in this game has not stranded a base runner since the 2nd inning. They've left 2. Of course, they haven't had anybody reach base since that 2nd. And now they have. Taylor draws a walk to lead off the 8th. 16 in a row had been retired prior to that walk, and it's the first walk to a Jayhawk hitter in this game, and it comes in the 8th inning.
That's the last thing you want to see, really, for Steve Rodriguez. I mean, you've had guys, you've quietly gone through their lineup, just mowing them down. You come out and bring a guy in, the first hitter you face, you walk him.
Skylar Messinger has one of the 3 base hits today for Kansas. That came in the 2nd inning. Cosentino doubled in the first, and Sitta doubled in that second. That accounts for the 3. That pitch is inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Baylor last year was 34-23 and went to the NCAA tournament, and they're trying to win their 34th game of the year today. Two and 1.
And are for sure going back to the NCAA tournament again.
The 2-1 hit well left field. That's deep. Will the park hold it? It's off the wall. That's going to bring the runner Taylor from first to third, and it's a double for Messinger. His 2nd hit of the game, and Kansas has some offense going in the 8th inning.
Messinger sends this ball for a ride right here. He's going to hit it to the deepest part of the ballpark, but the ball was hammered. He's not able to catch up to it right there. Does a good job playing it off the wall, but for Kansas right there, you can't take chances on sending runners. You're down by 9. You're in a situation right now where you've really got to play base to base. You need base runners. You don't need to be running yourself into outs. And you never know. You got 6 outs to play right here. Keep having quality at bats and see what happens.
Runners at 2nd and 3rd, and nobody down for Ben Sims. Langoliers, the catcher, went out and patted Heineman on the back and kind of gave him a bit of a pep talk. The first 2 batters that he has faced have reached, and now he's got some work to do with Sims, and then we go back to the top of the order. Popped up, shallow right. It's going to be the center fielder to make the catch, and everybody tags and stays. 1 away.
Ball just not hit far enough for the runner at third, Taylor, to be able to advance. Herring does a nice job of getting behind the ball, makes a good strong throw back into the infield, but just wasn't hit quite far enough. And once again, Kansas can't run into an out right there.
Mateo Zuniga hits for the 3rd time in the game after replacing Rudy Carey. He flew out to right, struck out swinging in the 6th. It's 4 hits in the game now for Kansas, and Zuniga swings and misses 0-1.
Heineman's got a really quick arm speed delivery, and looks like he's throwing a little circle change type thing, more of a screwball type.
Heineman fooled him there.
Yeah, you look at it right there, and it's just, he's got a really fast arm, fast delivery, and the ball comes out at 79 miles an hour. Not really looking like a true, what we call a circle change, but more of a screwball type.
The 0-2 pitch, just a bit off the plate outside, and Langoliers keeps it in front, and the count moves to 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 down. Runners at 2nd and 3rd for Kansas, and the visitors half of the 8th, the lower seed half of the 8th. The Jayhawks the number 8, Baylor the number 5. This is a winner's bracket game. If the score holds and Baylor wins, Kansas plays Oklahoma tomorrow. Zuniga swings and misses, and there's 2 away.
Once again, a really effective pitch right there, going down and away from the left-hander. Good arm speed. Looks like he's throwing it 100, and it's coming out at about 78. And 2 situations for Kansas right there to pick up a couple of runs not able to do it by the sacrifice fly or just a ground ball in the middle of the field.
Blake Schinkel hits for Cosentino. His first plate appearance of the tournament. He's hitting .368 on the season. He's not seen a ton of plate appearances this year. Playing in his 34th game. He's made a couple of starts. This is just his 20th at bat. First two men to the plate in the inning have both reached. Runners at second and third. And that gets past Langeliers. It goes to the backstop. And again, it's pretty soft back there. There's a lot of real estate. And you're not going to get a big kick by the ball bouncing back. So Kansas gets a run with Owen Taylor coming in from third. And Messinger advances from second to third.
Yeah, once again, though, I mean, Langeliers, as good as he is, that ball cannot go between his legs. Glove's got to be more down on the ground, get his hand, his bare hand around the glove too. Try to make yourself a big pillow. Ball went right between his legs.
So Heineman comes on in relief of Kettler and allows a run to come in. It's a 10-2 Baylor lead.
It's so easy to try to catch those balls.
That ball cued up the first baseline, and it goes off the first baseman Thomas, bounces away. In comes Messinger, and Kansas has scored twice in the inning. So Schinkel reaches on the air.
Just looks like he lost his footing right here. The ball was not hit hard. Did not have, yeah, he did. He just lost his footing. And his right foot behind him, got it out from underneath, and the ball just rolled right up his left arm, not able to get a glove on it.
And another pinch hitter. This is Tanner Gregg. So Schinkel reaches, puts the ball in play, reaches on the air. The run comes in, and the Jayhawks have scored twice to make it 10-3. This ball is hit well to left field and deep to left field and gone. How about these guys coming in off the bench and producing for Kansas later in the latter stages of this game?
Once again, you never know. Keep having quality at bats. One after another. You get an error that should have had you out of the inning. Now you're within 5. A couple of more base runners. You never know. Another blast. Give yourself an opportunity to get the tying run to the plate. It's one of those screwballs that just stayed up. Greg does a nice job just hammering this ball into the left field bleachers. You cruise along. The next thing you know, you look up and you're only 5 runs down in a game that you really have not been competitive in a long time.
It's 10-5 Baylor. And now Devin Foyle stands in there with the bases clear. Foyle today has hit fly ball outs to all 3 parts of the park. 1 to left, 1 to center, 1 to right. First pitch of ball, 1-0. And Steve Rodriguez is content to let Heineman just get out of this. Now the lead is big, and it's still relatively comfortable at 10-5 in the 8th. But Heineman has not looked good.
Well, he hasn't made it. It's a big mistake because he walked the leadoff hitter. You know, up by 9 runs, you come in, throw strikes, make him put the ball in play. He should have been out of the inning. Unfortunately for Thomas, he slips on the ground ball, not able to field it cleanly. But once again, then you never know. You get the 2-run blast, and now you score 4 in the inning, and you're right back in this game.
And if you're Baylor, you got to be concerned a little bit with those guys that have been left on base. 12 through 6. They had plenty of chances to shorten this game up, and didn't get the job done. So as dominant as they have looked, this is not a game without a couple of red flags.
You try to teach your kids to play till the final out. I mentioned it earlier. You got 27 of them. Play as hard as you can through all 27 outs. And for Kansas, that's exactly what they're doing right now. They have not given up. Once again, you get a 2-run home run right here, then it gets really interesting.
And here comes Steve Rodriguez. This is a pretty purposeful march out of that Baylor dugout as he makes his way to the mound. All the Bears are going to surround him, and he's going to make a pitching change. So Heineman doesn't make it through the 8th inning. After Kettler had set down 16 in a row, they turn to the bullpen in the 8th, and Kansas responds by putting a 4 spot, and they're not done. Foyle has reached. Well, Hayden Kettler dominated through 7. Got a seat on the bench. They gave way to Joe Heineman, and Heineman's appearance was not a good one. He has allowed Kansas to score 4 runs in the top half of the 8th inning, and he exits the game with Devin Foyle at first base. Kyle Hill is the new pitcher for Baylor, and it has been guys coming in off the bench getting an opportunity from Rich Price, who had done most of the damage.
Yeah, good piece of hitting right there. Look at Kyle Hill's numbers on the year. 23rd appearance, 2.55 ERA and 49 innings pitched, 42 strikeouts. Only hitting 189 against him. Brought in this situation right here to try to kill this Jayhawk rally.
Blake Schenkel reached on an error. A ball that was hit right at the first baseman Andy Thomas, but he slipped. So Schenkel reached. A run scored on that play. Then Tanner Gregg followed Schenkel in a pinch hit roll, and he launched the home run, a 2-run shot to make it 10-5. All of the scoring had been done in the first 3 innings. It was 10-1 after 3, and it was 10-1 until this half inning. So Kyle Hill is out there, and at the plate Blaine Ray. This is his second plate appearance. He replaced Brent Sitta in his first plate appearance. That was in the 7th inning. He grounded out to short.
The ball he hit was hit hard too. One hopper right at the shortstop. If you can find a way to hit a ball out of the ballpark right here, this game gets real interesting.
Foyle's at first.
Kansas can just find a way to get a tying run to the plate. A good swing at it too. Got a good fastball, good aggressive swing at it. Just couldn't quite catch up to it.
What's the biggest comeback that you were a part of?
Ooh. It had to be 8-9 runs, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Non-Little League. Not when the Optimists beat the Kiwanis with orange soda pop on the line.
The good old days.
I mean, when you played in college, no team was out of it.
Oh, no.
Not in that park at Oklahoma State.
Well, when I played in college, we put a lot of teams out of it.
That's true. Yeah. You got to play there too. There's a fly ball center field. Herring drifts back. He makes the catch, and that finally retires the side. 8 Jayhawk hitters to the plate in the 8th. And they score 4 runs and cut into that Baylor lead. The Bears still have it, but they're not feeling near as good as they were about 15 minutes ago. Phillips 66 is the sponsor of the Big 12 Baseball Championships, and this is how the brackets are shaping up midway through this tourney. Baylor got here with a 4-0 win over Oklahoma. Kansas beat Texas in their opening game. It's 10-5 right now. The loser of this game goes on to play Oklahoma, who is still alive after eliminating the Big 12 Conference regular season champion Texas Longhorns earlier today. So it'll be a loser's bracket game tomorrow. The winner of this one gets a day off. In Division 2, West Virginia knocked off second-seeded Oklahoma State to advance to the winner's game tonight against TCU. who defeated Texas Tech in 7 innings in a game that ended earlier today just after midnight. Now, earlier today in a regularly scheduled contest, it was Texas Tech defeating Oklahoma State in a 2-versus-3 matchup, and the Cowboys, who looked like they might win the regular season title about 2 weeks ago, they find themselves on the outside looking in. Their championship run is done after 2 games, and Texas Tech is still alive. And Texas Tech looked very good today. Not even close to what they looked like last night and this morning in losing to TCU. They walked 14 batters, kicked the ball around, and lost 12-2. They were much more on a mission this afternoon.
Well, they were the preseason favorites to win the Big 12, the regular season, and that looked like the team today that was supposed to do that. I know for Oklahoma State, they've probably seen enough of Texas Tech for this year. Sweeping them last weekend in Stillwater.
Bissonnette lines out to the first baseman for the first out of the 8th.
You know, for Texas right now, you got to be a little bit concerned about the offensive production that they had. 3 runs in 2 days. Now, granted, facing a really good pitcher. A little soft liner right there off the bat.
Into the glove of Owen Taylor. Here's TJ Ragusi hitting the 9th spot. After him, it'll be Nick Lofton. Ragusi twice today has grounded out to the second baseman. He also reached on a ground ball to the second baseman. That was in the 3rd. Overall, 0 for 4. 10 runs on 11 hits for Baylor. The offense was explosive early, and it has fizzled since the 3rd. And again, 12 runners left on base. 2 balls and a strike with 1 down.
I also think for Texas, you know, they just clinched last weekend. They got presented the trophy here the first day yesterday. You know, they come in here and they just did not look sharp at all from an offensive standpoint. Pitching, you know, they did okay there. But this morning, just the execution. They had some situations to get some bunts down. Were not able to do it. Obviously, yesterday facing Jackson Goddard, I'm not sure if any of these teams would have hit him yesterday.
They started Mateo Bocchi yesterday. What was it, just his 3rd start of the season? Ground ball out to the shortstop. And the throw to Taylor retires Ragusi, and there's 2 down in the Baylor 8th.
Well, and Nolan Kingham today did an outstanding job.
Well, you know where the Baylor fans are staying. That's just over the wall in left field at the Hampton Inn. You've got some folks who put "Go BU" in the window.
Got to be an adjoining room, huh?
You're right.
Shouldn't those letters, though, be in green and gold?
I think you work with the materials you have.
I guess I'm being too picky then.
Yeah. This is Nick Lofton. His average at .315. And what a day he's had. A walk, hit by a pitch, scored both times, then hit a 2-run home run. All that in the first 3 innings. He goes down on strikes. That's the first time they've been able to retire him. So for the 2nd consecutive inning, Baylor goes in order. 3 up and 3 down. Their lead is 10-5 over Kansas. To the 9th we go after this. West Virginia head coach Randy Mazey among those interested to see how this game turns out. Baylor leads Kansas by a score of 10-5. It was 10-1 through 3, 10-1 through 6 and 7, and then Kansas put 4 on the board in their half of the 8th inning to cut the margin in half. 10 runs on 11 hits with an error committed by Baylor. Kansas 5-5 and 2. It'll be West Virginia taking on TCU about 45 minutes after the conclusion of this game. Isaiah Kearns goes for the Mountaineers, and Sean Weimer gets the ball for Jim Schlossnagle and the Horned Frogs, who are seeded 6th in this tournament. West Virginia is the number 7 seed. Again, that's a winner's bracket game. The winner gets tomorrow off. The loser will take on Texas Tech tomorrow afternoon. Randy Mazey, a longtime assistant coach at TCU under Jim Schlossnagle. Very important role in helping to build that program. I believe they were in the WAC before joining the Mountain West. They were jumping from one conference to the other, dominated the Mountain West, and that's really where the roots were planted for the success that they have been enjoying the last few seasons in the Big 12. And I mentioned it earlier, when they were in the Mountain West Conference, they played well, dominated, recruited well, but Jim Schlossnagle was not afraid to pick up the phone and call anybody and everybody, because he wanted to play the best, because he felt like, look, this is where we want to be, this is who we have to play. And for a while, teams were willing to take those phone calls.
For a while.
And then it went straight to voicemail. But I remember when they won I think it was their first super regional that they won to go to Omaha. They won on the road in Austin, Texas. But they became a dominant program in the Mountain West. Had 1 year or so there where the transition from the Mountain West to the Big 12, they took some lumps, but that transition didn't take very long, and they were right there near the top, and they have been there when injuries have not been a huge factor, as they have been this season.
You know, both those guys have really done a phenomenal job. Randy Mazey at West Virginia, another place it's not easy to recruit to. In northern school, you know, the weather's a little touchy at the beginning of the year, but he has really done an amazing job.
Stepping to the plate now.
Look back at
just Jim Schlossnagle. Didn't mean to interrupt you. I mean, Jim Schlossnagle, the program that he's built at TCU, it's been amazing, the run that they've been on.
Luke Bacula just drew a leadoff walk in the top half of the 9th inning. Kyle Hill came on in relief in that 8th inning. He remains out there for Baylor. Langoliers goes out to visit. I think Randy Mazey may have had a birthday yesterday. Pushing 40.
Well, you can tell his players are really tight about this upcoming game. They're out there doing a little tailgating of their own out there in right field.
Well, that's a strike taken by Brooks Asher, a backup catcher who's hitting in the spot normally occupied by Owen Taylor. Asher at .417 on the season, but again in limited at bats.
Those have got to be pitchers that just have nothing else to do.
What is that, cornhole? Is that what they have out there? I think they've got like a big Connect 4 game on the berm out in left field, or right field, beg your pardon.
That's good to see, though. I mean, they're loose, coming in trying to have a little bit of fun here.
Swing and a miss, and down goes Asher in his only plate appearance of this game. One away in the top half of the 9th.
Also good to see for Steve Rodriguez and his staff after the leadoff walk is Hill being able to come back and strike out the second guy of the inning. This kid's got a good arm. He's got a good live fastball, kind of a straight over the top guy. A good crisp slider right there, a late break on it.
Skylar Messinger's had a good night at the plate, 2 for 3, an infield single in the 2nd, struck out looking in the 5th, but then came back with a double and a run scored in that 4-run 8th. One away for Kansas. Baylor looking for a double play ball, and they may have just gotten it. The two infielders on the left side collide. The only play is to second, and they get the lead runner there somehow. That had disaster written all over it. It's a fielder's choice to put Messinger on.
Yeah, no chance of a double play right there. The ball was hit too soft, but fortunately for Baylor, Laughlin stays with this ball right here, and Wenzel does a smart thing and gets out of the way as much as he can. That ball could have very easily been thrown into right field.
Or not played at all on the left side. 2 away, last chance now for Kansas to keep this thing going. Credit them for battling back and most of that damage done to close that gap was done by guys coming in off the bench just getting a chance. And that's something positive for Rich Hill to praise those guys and point out to the guys who couldn't get the job done.
Yeah, it has not been their best game. Obviously, Zephyr John did not have his best day today. He'll be back. Good quality arm. But you got to credit the Jayhawks. They did not give up. They kept playing. And they've got another game tomorrow that they've got to get ready to play.
Hill fields that chopper off the bat to Ben Sims, and this one is over. That's the final out of the game. Baylor built the big lead and held on in the end. The Bears pick up the victory and remain unbeaten in the 2018 Phillips 66 Big 12 Baseball Championship. It's a 10-5 victory for the Bears, who with the win matched their win total from a year ago. They're now 34-19 on the year, unbeaten in tournament play, and playing very good baseball. Kansas with the loss is now 27-29 on the year. They're 1-1 in the tournament, and they're not done. It'll be Kansas taking on Oklahoma tomorrow afternoon at 3:15 p.m. That's an elimination game between the Jayhawks and the Sooners. Again, Texas, the conference champion, has already been eliminated, losing its only 2 games. Baylor, meanwhile, is unbeaten, and they have punched their ticket to Saturday. They'll await the winner of Oklahoma and Kansas, and they'll take them on at 9 o'clock this weekend. Well, it was the 3rd inning for the Baylor Bears that proved to be the decisive frame. They sent 10 batters to the plate, and 3 of them sent the ball out of the park. 3 2-run home runs for Baylor, and they built the big lead. And